3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Was hanging out with Seth Rogen's mom in Europe.
And I actually
didn't even know it.
I didn't even know it.
Wait, what should we email Seth Rogen's mom? Can we do this all as a show? Can we have her?
Is that your Seth Rogen impersonator?
You sound like Beavis and Butthead. So we have to figure out, what do we want to write to Seth Rogen's mom?
Let's ask Seth to come on the show and talk to the Weedem.
He would be like their Pied Piper.
She's going to get him to do a cameo. That's what's going to end up happening.
Where are we going to pay? What a deal. Way to know people in high places.
She'll get a 25% off discount.
I know what the cameo would say. Hey, I heard you were on a cruise with my mom. Cool.
And that costs $600.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
I know the Pittsburgh Steelers won last night, but they can't be feeling very good, nor can the people who jumped on their bandwagon, like the person who's sitting to my left. Hey, what up? Welcome to Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Yes, how are you feeling about your Steelers Super Bowl bet?
Not good, but there's an easy fix.
What's that?
Fire the offensive coordinator.
Well, you and 80,000 other people wanted that to happen yesterday.
What's the population of Pittsburgh? Because I am joining whoever those people are to fire Matt Canada. And I don't know. I guess I underestimated it. What happened was they were amazing in preseason on offense. And I knew I was reading so much about them. I'm like, well, Matt Canada has not been trustworthy. But, man, he is letting everyone down. He is I can't believe some of the plays they ran last night. They were shocking.
It's
felt like me playing Madden, but drunk.
Do they feel like, does football go just side to side for the Steelers and not up and down the field? Because you need more plays going down the field. And right now, we can talk about the game plan. And listen, they end up winning the game behind 2 defensive touchdowns, really. The offense went into the fourth quarter trailing by 3 and finished the quarter with -4 yards. I mean, this is just not winning football, but they get bailed out because the defense was so good. And also the Browns lost their, turns out, best offensive player was Nick Chubb, not Deshaun Watson last night.
Well, listen, the Steelers didn't even give themselves a chance. How many running yards did they have in the first half? Like 2 or something?
I think they finished the game with like 55. I mean, nothing.
All of which was on 2 carries by Najee Harris.
Yep.
Then Matt Canada decided to do a sweep with Calvin Austin that killed all that momentum. There's something very, very wrong with this offense. And I know what you want to do. You want to blame my guy, Kenny Pickett, second-year quarterback. Or maybe, I don't know that you want to do that. But explain to me, it's 3rd and 2. Instead of handing the ball off, you drop back, and the Browns have nothing to lose, and they just blitz the entire team.
Yep.
He never had a chance. He had no chance to ever sit in the pocket and throw the ball.
Okay, so Kenny Pickett is not being helped by his offensive coordinator. Obviously, Matt Canada, the fans are chanting "Fire Canada" last night on Monday Night Football. I mean, as embarrassing as it gets, right? But here's the thing about Pickett. It's looking really, really bad for him. Through the first 2 games. Looked it up a little bit, not just looking like a sophomore slump, but looking well below average. Now, our friends over at Pro Football Focus do a quarterback ranking after every week. As far as being a passer, Kenny Pickett, his passer grade on Pro Football Focus is 31 out of 32.
Okay.
They're saying Zach Wilson is a better quarterback right now in terms of passing than Kenny Pickett. I mean, that's got to be alarming for a guy who is your first-round pick, who started to come on at the end of last season, again, behind a robust run game. But you're hoping for a step forward where through the first 2 weeks of the season, it's looking a little bit more like a sophomore slump. That's how we're trending after 2 weeks.
I don't see it that way at all. They started out with San Francisco with no game plan to stop that incredible pass rush. And then last night, Cleveland's defense is just stacked. Before the injuries, they were even more stacked. Look who Kenny Pickett has next. At the Raiders, at the Texans, whose defense has been very disappointing. The Colts just shredded them. Then they have the Ravens, who are really an unknown on defense, and at the Rams. You think Kenny Pickett's going to be 31 after that 4-game stretch?
I hope not.
Hope not. There's no way. First of all, he wasn't even that bad last night. He was 15 for 30, 222 yards, 1 pick, 1 touchdown.
15 for 30 is not good at all.
How many of them were just throwaways because he was about to get clobbered?
Okay, but I think
10 of his best passes were throwing it to the sideline because there were 7 pass rushers on him.
Yeah, he threw to the sideline a lot. But also, he got most of his yards on a George Pickens catch and run that was 71 yards. I mean, his total yardage is deceiving there because so much came on that one play.
He was moving the ball, and there would be 3rd and 1, and Matt Canada would call some insane play. Especially at the very end, Canada called a play that the whole fan base almost revolted. All they needed was 1 yard to seal the win, and he called this bizarre quarterback draw that made no sense. No, I think Pickett's fine. I think he's going to up his numbers big time. San Francisco, you admit, they're ferocious.
Of course.
I put Cleveland in that category.
Cleveland is a very good defense.
They're really good. And Garrett wasn't even that.
But Pittsburgh is a good defense, too.
If he had to face his own squad, he'd get killed, too. I just think that this has been a function of the 2 teams he's played. And listen, the Steelers at least got the win. They're 1-1. The sky is not falling. The schedule gets much easier. They don't look good on offense. I totally agree with that. But that's because they won't run the ball. They just refuse to.
Okay, there's another part of this. You're right, won't run the ball. Also, as much as we love Najee Harris and he's come on the show and all of that, he doesn't look that great.
He had 2 runs there that were awesome.
Jaylen Warren is just the better back.
Yeah, but then again, how long will he last? I'm not so down on Najee Harris, mainly because he was such a good interview.
Well, you can't let your personal emotions cloud your analysis here. Here's the other thing. This is where I feel for the Pittsburgh Steelers fans, because it's not just the 2 games here against 2 defenses. They've wanted no part of offensive coordinator Matt Canada for the last 2 years. It was the end of Roethlisberger. His first year is like, oh, well, this is Roethlisberger. He's old. Then it's Kenny Pickett as a rookie. Okay, well, Kenny Pickett's just young. Well, now it's year 3, and it's like, guy, when are you going to start throwing the ball downfield and becoming a more dynamic and explosive offense? And You know the Steelers. What's the one thing about Steelers and coaching staffs? I'm not saying that Mike Tomlin never makes changes, but not mid-season they're not making a change. Wouldn't you, to steal a line from Chevy Chase, I would be more shocked if I woke up with my head sewn to the carpet than if somehow Mike Tomlin fired his offensive coordinator in the middle of the season. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody fires their offensive coordinator, really, unless you're like 2-9.
You take back play calling responsibilities. Yeah. You can move it around a little, but Tomlin isn't an offensive guy.
It's kind of hard because they'll probably have a decent record. I don't see any situation where they're getting rid of Matt Canada. You know, it's been 37 straight games where they've failed to get 400 yards of total offense.
That's wild.
That's going
in
back
this
3.
NFL.
You know, that's why I don't blame Pickett. That's why I blame Canada, because it goes back 3 quarterbacks that he's kind of ruined. But I don't need an explosive pass game. The Browns were selling out to rush the quarterback last night. Just run the ball. They could have run at will and salted that game away.
Well, I
think they're poorly coached on offense.
You're right, and that's also why the preseason numbers were especially deceiving, because they were not the teams and defenses, even when they were playing backups or even when they were playing the Bills starters, whatever. Teams were not like loading up to try to get into Kenny Pickett, and now you're seeing what they are doing, and they are trying to make him uncomfortable. And Pickett isn't a runner. Like, he can move a little bit, but he's not a running quarterback.
Not at all. That is a little bit of a downside on him. I think his numbers are going to pick right up the next several weeks. I think he's going to right the ship. Honestly, the next 4 defenses he sees are going to look so pedestrian. Last night the Browns were flying around. They were just all after him, and he looked better. You will agree, it's a step up from week 1 to week 2 at least. Because week 1 against the Niners,
week 1 was god awful.
He took 3, but none of that was on him. He took 3 steps back and was either getting hit or desperately trying to unload the ball somewhere. I can't blame him for any of this, really.
I mean, incrementally better. He's still, again, rated 31 out of 32 starting quarterbacks on Pro Football Focus. Now, I am worried about Kenny Pickett. You're welcome to weigh in at 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I know we're on in Pennsylvania. We're on in Western Pennsylvania. I'd love to get the thoughts of some Steeler fans, and Steeler fans are all over the country and all over the world, frankly, about how they're feeling 2 games into this season, which has massive expectations on it, or the expectations, I would say, grew through the offseason because of those preseason games, which could be fool's gold, we know. Anyway, I'm also very concerned about Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, for a much different reason, somebody who should be a top-tier quarterback, someone who's being paid like an elite quarterback, was very pedestrian last night. A couple good throws here and there, but ultimately the strip sack at the end of the game that got returned for a touchdown by T.J. Watt ends up sealing the fate of the Cleveland Browns. Not what you want from Deshaun Watson.
And one thing, you notice he tries to make every play last forever. Like, he won't go down. He's impossible to tackle. So what happens when you do that is that you make yourself very vulnerable to fumbling the ball. But if he didn't do that, like, what would the Browns' offense be if Deshaun Watson wasn't running around? I don't know. Once Chubb went out, they were in a tough spot.
Yeah,
I'm not sticking up for Watson.
Jerome Ford, who actually came in and was fine, but I don't know if he's going to be able to carry the load. Maybe.
Felt like Watson, either he's not getting rid of the ball in time, he's missing reads, or he just has to make a play with his legs, which he used to do all the time, and he did a lot last night, but he makes himself very vulnerable to fumbling it. Like,
it doesn't have the same oomph that it did back in
what's a new offense?
2019 or whatever the last time we saw Deshaun be really good.
I think that was the Bill O'Brien offense or then the Gary Kubiak offense. This is Kevin Stefanski, and it's just doesn't look natural at all. Does he look comfortable to you at all? He'll have a throw, like, as you mentioned, or a throw here or there.
He's still got a super strong arm.
It doesn't look like he really wants to go anywhere with the ball or knows where to go with the ball. That Chubb injury killed him, too. I think they probably win that game if Chubb started out really great. I know Ford was awesome, too, but Chubb looked like he just owned the Steelers from the first moment of the game.
Yeah, Chubb was excellent. I mean, I feel very fortunate that I didn't see exactly what happened on the play, and I've been able to avoid every replay now, and I don't want to watch that and see that. Everything changed with that. And
it's funny. I'll see it on Twitter, and I will not click on it. No,
I don't want to see it. I feel terrible for the guy, and he was on his way to having a fantastic game, and you had to think fantastic season. Both teams, that'd be just atrocious on third down. The Steelers 4 for 14 on third down, just could not keep plays alive. And the Browns were much better. They were 5 for 16. Like, no one could sustain a drive. You want to say kudos to the defense is good, but I don't think it was all because the defenses were awesome.
Yeah, I do.
So many miscues.
Yes. I think these are two real serious defenses. I think the Highsmith-Watt combo.
Yeah.
By the way, that's why I'm not totally abandoning the Steelers as a Super Bowl hopeful because, Micah Parsons definitely the MVP in the NFC. TJ Watt is sure looking like the most valuable player in the AFC. Can Watt and Highsmith just torture everybody and win a bunch of games? They have an easier schedule coming up. The whole AFC North is falling apart. There is a lane.
The Ravens are good.
Are they?
I think they are.
I don't know.
They have a lot of injuries right now that they're overcoming. I mean,
week 1 was a nothing game. They beat the Texans.
They beat the Texans. You don't know much.
But week 2, they jumped all over Cincinnati. Then Cincinnati finally woke up in the second half and looked like the better team. I don't think we know anything about the Ravens. And if they keep getting injured at this rate...
Well, it's going to be Lamar and John Harbaugh and nobody, like the mascot.
Maggie, you're going to be lining up at slot receiver for this team. So,
I better start doing some crunches.
But I do think Cleveland is down because Deshaun is not what we thought he'd be. And I think Cincinnati's way down. If Joe Burrow sits out this week, they're 0-3. So I think the Steelers can hang around with just TJ Watt causing havoc. Yeah. Just those two guys just out there, run around. I mean, TJ Watt murdered the Niners, and the Niners were up by 3 touchdowns, and they still couldn't block him. So I'm at least hoping that Matt Canada decides to run the ball more. He puts Kenny Pickett in a better situation, gets conservative, lets the defense win. And that's Tomlin's job, right, to say to the offensive coordinator, stop calling these crap plays.
Well, here was Mike Tomlin. Let's hear it, Stu. Responding to the fans who were chanting to fire Matt Canada.
Man, we don't run from challenges. We run to challenges. This is the sport entertainment business. It is our job to win and thus entertain them. And so, we don't begrudge them for that. We want them to be fat and sassy and spoiled. It is our job.
Fat, sassy, and spoiled is the new, faith family football or whatever. Yeah. Live, laugh, love.
We want them to be fat and sassy and spoiled.
I want that, when people hang up signs in their house, bless this house or, whatever. I want fat, sassy, and spoiled.
We want them to be fat and sassy and spoiled.
Or what's the mat? A welcome mat? On your front stoop. Welcome. We're fat, sassy, and spoiled.
We want them to be fat and sassy and spoiled.
It's like a status more than it's what's your status today? Well, I'm fat, sassy, and spoiled. That's how I'm feeling. Yes, queen. That will replace the new yes, queen. How you doing? Fat, sassy, and spoiled. How are you doing?
We want them to be fat and sassy and spoiled.
Who's first to get that merch out? Is it better as a T-shirt, a bumper sticker? Where do you want fat, sassy, and spoiled? A throw pillow?
Question, what's he talking about?
Doesn't matter.
He's saying that people should not be upset with Matt Canada?
No, I think that he wants them to be satisfied is what he's saying, right? He wants them to not only win games, but he wants them to be entertained while doing it. Last night, not an entertaining game.
Oh,
yeah.
That can't be what he meant.
I think it is.
I think you're right, but that's idiotic.
Well, he's basically just trying to deflect the fact that the offense stinks.
I'm looking. Here are the last 5 offensive coordinators for the Steelers. Bruce Arians, 55-25, awesome. Todd Haley, 61-35, awesome. Randy Fichtner, not as good, fired in 2020, 29-18, and now Matt Canada's 18-16.
Well, they did go through a major transition from a franchise quarterback who had been there for almost 20 years to a new guy, but
I don't know.
Has to weigh in, doesn't it?
I don't know, though. I feel like, you used to talk about Bruce Arians and Todd Haley. These are guys, Randy Fichtner, I don't know much about. But I'm just saying that they had great offensive coaches forever. I think Arians was a big part of Big Ben's success. I mean, that's not a controversial statement. Who is this guy?
I think Roethlisberger was upset when Arians got fired.
Who is this? Who's Matt Canada? Why?
Why is this so precious? Why are we worried about Matt Canada's feelings?
Yeah.
I know this is up to Tomlin. And listen, this has happened before, most notably with your Eagles. Remember the first year with Jalen Hurts? The whole fan base and everyone was clamoring for them to run the ball. And then midseason they did. They started listening to the fans. They started running the ball. They made the playoffs.
Well, they switched play callers too, which was great. But there's Tomlin's not going to call the plays. There's no one to switch play calls. So anyway, bottom line, I think it's not the quarterback. Kenny Pickett, for a guy with small hands, can throw that football. He has some really nice throws, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
and I know
to the sideline.
I know Troy Aikman can't stand him, but Troy Aikman, anybody short of Patrick Mahomes, Troy Aikman's going to shred all day long, which is funny because Troy Aikman only threw for about 140 yards a game.
You didn't have to back in those days.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him criticizing guys. Honestly, we'll see. Let's revisit this in a month.
I think the Steelers' offense is in major trouble. 855-212-4CBS. What do you think? 855-212-4227. Coming up, we got one team looking surprisingly competitive this season. Who is it? We'll tell you next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Okay. Also, hours. What's my new password?
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So it was a Monday night doubleheader last night, Maggie, which sounds ideal. Sounds like heaven on earth until the actual game started. And oh my gosh, the first game looked like a preseason game. The Saints-Panthers. The Saints came away with a win. Here's a good stat on New Orleans. They've gone 10 straight games allowing less than 20 points.
Wow.
Their defense...
Yeah.
So we hear a lot about the 85 Bears. The Saints, apparently, I found out during the telecast, have also said we aspire to be the 85 Bears. So they are just going...
It's really getting thrown around. Didn't someone say the Jets were going to be the 85 Bears?
Their quarterback said that. But the Saints...
DJ Reed.
Saints have put together a little run here, 10 games with 20 points. Here's the thing. Part of that's the schedule. They're in the NFC South. But look at their schedule coming up. At Green Bay, who's a total mess. Everybody's out. Tampa Bay, at New England and Mac Jones, at Houston, Jacksonville, who has not figured it out on offense, Indy, Chicago. The NFC South is the place to be a dominant defense. So as much hype as the Cowboys are getting, and as much hype as we saw the two teams last night in the later game, Cleveland and Pittsburgh and San Francisco, New Orleans could end up with the number one defense in the entire NFL. And Dennis Allen, that's all he can do. Their offense is a mess.
Yeah, their offense is uninspiring.
Yeah, but you could win. You could win in the NFC South. And listen, the dominant NFC South, 3-2-0 teams.
I know. Look at that.
But I feel like, okay, Derek Carr, I don't want to see any more of him. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Put Taysom Hill at quarterback.
There was a lot of Taysom Hill last night. I knew you would love it.
Nobody could stop the man. Or maybe even Jameis was on camera a lot and saying a lot of team positive things. There seems to be
not falling for that.
a lot. They seem to be a very physical team on defense, and I think with a veteran quarterback, Carr will get a little better. Chris Olave is a star wide receiver. Yep. Kamara's coming back at some point, so I think that formula can win you this division. I know that Atlanta's 2-0 and Tampa Bay's 2-0, but they don't have a defense like New Orleans.
No, that's like the one consistent thing, right? And I think Tampa Bay's defense might be good too.
Definitely.
And Atlanta's defense. I don't know. Atlanta's offense is the one interesting part about this because Deshaun's so good.
Atlanta's offense will be so slow that the defense will have good numbers anyway. I don't know much about it. I don't think any of us. Atlanta's defense is not big names like these other teams, but the Saints defense, Cam Jordan is ageless. Yeah. Even last night, he was running around after little Bryce Young. I felt bad for Bryce. I mean, there is no talent there around him in Carolina.
You know what's so funny is that Bryce Young didn't have a great game. It's not very inspiring what you're seeing so far from Bryce Young. Again, we got to wait a little bit on these rookies, but I was so worried about him getting hurt. So worried about him getting hurt because he's short and he's slight, and how is he going to survive this? Meanwhile, Anthony Richardson, who's 6'5" and 230, he's the one who had a knee injury week one and now is dealing with a concussion. So I guess I'm wrong about that. Hopefully Richardson's going to be fine. But
it's like Cam Newton. Cam was a huge target after the Super Bowl. First game back, Denver hits him high, hits him low, and he's never healthy again.
Listen, the one thing about Carolina, what they have to do, and it's obvious, is like you got to get better weapons for Bryce Young. I mean, if you're just going to have this year be like a feel it out, I guess I was expecting a little bit more from a Frank Reich offense. My fault, I guess.
The coaching power rankings, I think Frank Reich has fallen a little bit because he didn't do much in Indy either. So, but listen, Carolina's fine. Forget them. Who's winning this division? I still say it's the Saints. I think their defense carries the day. Carr is just as average as they get, but that's enough here.
I still think Atlanta, I know I'm breaking one of our commandments, thou shalt never bet on the Falcons, but I do like what they're, listen, it's a Bijan appreciation. Yeah. And I don't know about Desmond Ridder. I'm getting a little I'm a little worried about Ridder.
Yeah, that didn't look great to me.
Of course not.
I mean, they really should have lost to Green Bay. Green Bay is just a shell of themselves. So, yeah, I don't know. The running attack is great. Arthur Smith seems to be an innovative play caller, but still they're Atlanta.
Well, Samter, you look like you want to say something. What's up? No, you're now you're shaking your head.
Wait.
Oh, you can't say anything because your mic is broken.
What about
Can we put a poll up?
Yeah.
Is it a shame or is it what's another word?
This is good.
Is it good that
mic.
Mike Samter's mic is broken? You just went to turn it on. It's not working.
I got a poll for you. I got a good poll.
What do you got?
You can have one quarterback right now, 2 weeks in the NFL, Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr. And
Baker's looking good.
You can't answer neither.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. I'd probably take Baker.
All right. You don't seem
I'm
so
thinking
confident
about it.
it.
No, I just glazed over thinking about would I like to, how would I feel sitting there having to root for Baker Mayfield every week? Would that be torture or would that be okay?
Baker Mayfield, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah, I know.
But
2 good games.
But Vikings and Bears?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Derek Carr.
And that Bears game, it was really the defense that finished the job.
Yeah. Derek Carr, I don't know what I saw last night. He's just the Bermuda Triangle of quarterback evaluation.
You're never going to get it.
Stu, is he's the same exact person we saw with the Raiders?
He's the exact same person, and I will say as a Raiders fan, it's kind of nice to watch him from afar and not have to, him
You're
be the
not
quarterback of your
invested.
team. Yeah, it's nice.
You're out after a decade, basically. You don't have to. He can't hurt you anymore, Stu.
Nope, that's over. Now it's Jimmy G that'll hurt me when he gets hurt.
Well,
but Carr does this thing where he gives you a little bit of hope. Like he'll have a big pass to Olave on the sideline. You're like, oh, maybe he is good. And then he'll miss a wide open guy the next play.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And I saw it last night. I'm watching. I'm like, this is what I've dealt with for the past decade. Very frustrating.
I hate to be the person who week 2, we all waited for football to come back and it's a long off season and then finally we get football. So I hate to be that person, but did it feel like those games took about 2 days?
Yeah. I think it was the back being on top of each other added to that feeling. One starting at 7 Eastern, one starting at 8:30 Eastern. So it was there's no halftime. We didn't get a break.
There was a moment in the third quarter when the clock ticked under 2 minutes, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they forgot the 2-minute warning." Oh no, it's not even the fourth quarter yet. Crap. But anyway, we end up learning a little bit more about these teams. Again, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227, which is going to be a long season for Bryce Young. But no one's getting judged on this first season. So they kind of get the year to just sort of, I don't know, flounder
feel it out, learn on the job. It's interesting that there was a garbage time touchdown at the end of the game. If they had, and they allowed the Panthers to score that. If they hadn't, that would have been 8 quarters without a touchdown. Given up by that defense for New Orleans. That's pretty crazy. Who goes 2 games without letting up a touchdown? Is defense back?
I think defense might be back.
But is it really, or is it just through 2 weeks that it's back?
Well, do you think that the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, do you think that's like a fluke?
Yes. I think Dallas's defense will come back to earth compared to what it's done. Because they're going to be facing the Niners and the Eagles and the Dolphins.
But what about San Francisco? Their defense was stout all season long last year.
Last week, McVay tore them apart, which was so bizarre.
Well, these two teams know each other very well.
Yeah. It was weird to see them move the ball because I saw them in week 1 against Pittsburgh. They looked like the steel curtain.
But ultimately, Stafford threw some picks at the end. The turnovers killed him.
I think they're great defenses, but, listen, Kansas City hasn't done anything on offense. Jacksonville, who we know is a good offense, has looked really mixed on offense. I think all the offenses basically are having a preseason and they're getting practice and they'll all be on the same page in a month. And we'll look back on week 2 and be like, remember when we thought defenses were rolling? There's going to be like a 48-45 game.
Okay, but think about all the good defenses that you can name in the NFL, the ones that look good right now compared to the offenses that look really good. Well, there's 5 defenses that look elite and 2 offenses that look like they're clicking. The Dolphins and...
Yeah, I don't even know who your second one is. Bills looked good last week.
Yeah, but they didn't look good the first week, so I've got to average it together.
So last year, the Eagles had the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes threw 14 passes in a row that landed in Chiefs receivers' hands. He scored 38 points in the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, eventually the offenses catch up.
YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can watch the show. Thrifty PS Gamer Review says Baker still might have an upside. Carr, we know what he is.
Baker might have it. We're giving Baker Mayfield upside now? That's great.
He's a former number 1 overall pick. Hell of an upside that guy has.
I kind of agree with that, though. I feel like there's more left with Baker than there is with Carr.
Yeah, well, that's because Carr's been in the league for a lot longer.
Yeah, I do think, however, that, listen, if Carr really did struggle, they could definitely go to Jameis or they could go to Taysom Hill.
I wonder if Jameis might be potentially on the move to New York. I mean, I know maybe we've sort of put the Zach Wilson replacement stuff to bed, and I know Aaron Rodgers is talking about how he's going to come back in like 2 days from a torn Achilles or something, but is there a phone call that's still made?
Why would the Saints do that?
I don't know.
Like, are you talking like a second or third round pick?
Maybe an overpay. I have no idea.
It feels like
Jameis would definitely be on that short list. Hell, Ryan Fitzpatrick told you and I that Jameis is the one that New York should call.
It feels like the Jets are just not into that. It doesn't feel like they want anyone to challenge Zach Wilson.
Well, I think at first you got to show confidence, I guess, in Wilson, and then go out and see what he does. And against a very good Dallas defense, he was not good. Threw 3 picks in the fourth quarter. That's not going to win you games. And now we'll see what happens this week.
Well, I think the Saints honestly view themselves as a team that could get a home field playoff game. I don't think they're not going to give away their backup quarterback because Carr looked average. So,
yeah.
And, I think if you're going to, the Jets have proven you need a veteran backup quarterback. So if they give up Jameis, then who's their backup? Well, Taysom, but I don't know. It feels like a stretch to me because unless you give the Saints a second-round pick, if the Jets trade a second-round pick for Jameis Winston, that would be the greatest thing ever.
It'd be a twist. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in. Again, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can watch the show. We say hi to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates all across the country.
Wait, yes. One more thing about Jameis, by the way.
Go ahead.
You have an amazing defense in New York, the Jets.
Yep.
And what is the one kind of quarterback you do not want when you have an amazing defense? You want ball control.
Yeah, right.
You don't want the one guy who threw 34 interceptions in a year.
Yes.
He is exactly the wrong quarterback.
No, the day after Rodgers got hurt, remember, I was like, they just need a point guard to just like distribute.
Yes, they need Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Jameis Winston would be like, someone who's competing in the dunk contest.
Right.
It's like, that's not what we need here. We don't need high degree of difficulty.
Yeah, if you have the worst defense in the league and you need a guy who could throw for 5,300 yards and 35 picks, Jameis.
Coming up, the latest on Travis Hunter, the two-way star from Colorado. What did Deion Sanders have to say before the big showdown against my Oregon Ducks? Dexter Henry is here with all the latest in this CBS Sports Update.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, thanks, guys. This one is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. NFL news. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski said Jerome Ford is now the team's running back atop the depth chart following the season-ending injury to Nick Chubb. The All-Pro running back was carted off the field during the second quarter of Cleveland's 26-22 loss to the Steelers. Chubb's injury has not been specified, but Stefanski did state that he will require surgery. According to Rams head coach Sean McVay, the team is heading towards trading running back Cam Akers, and general manager Les Snead has spoken with a handful of teams about a trade. After being notified of Michigan State's intention to fire him, suspended football coach Mel Tucker responded Tuesday to the school's notice, saying in a statement that, quote, other motives are at play, and that there's been a bias against him throughout the process. And news surrounding the two major spring football leagues, the XFL and the USFL, are reportedly in deep talks about merging. That could be finalized by the end of the week. I'm Dexter Henry.
Joining the Zach Gelb Show today, Oregon State quarterback DJ Uiagalelei, Buccaneers linebacker Levante David, and former All-Pro Shaun Merriman. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Wow, lots of choices for Stu for Defensive Player of the Week. Just give us a hint. Did you go obvious or not obvious?
Kind of obvious. I think kind of obvious.
Hell of a hint.
So it was last night. Okay, obvious would have been Micah Parsons. Obvious would be Micah Parsons, who's getting all the ink.
You know who I think Stu might have done? Would he give love to Chris Jones? He's a diehard Raider fan. I know you hate the Chiefs.
I try to be unbiased.
Okay.
Is it Chris Jones?
It's not Chris Jones,
okay.
though.
Is it because you were watching the Raiders Bills? Is it Matt Milano had a nice interception?
It could have been.
So wait, is it Micah Parsons?
It is Micah, yes.
Okay.
That's the most obvious pick there is.
It is. That's why I said it's obvious, yeah.
But I can't give him this. I veto this.
Why?
Because you can't get Defensive Player of the Week against Zach Wilson and the Jets. It just does not exist. There's no Defensive Player of the Week.
Stu's doing this like a survivor pool, you know? It's like, even if it's obvious, you got to go with the one that's there, and then you move on to live another week.
I feel like to win Defensive Player of the Week, all you have to do is show up at the stadium against the Jets.
Michael Parsons being compared to Lawrence Taylor. He's not just showing up at the stadium.
Do it. Well, no, I'm just saying, but give it to him any other week. But this is a 1 week where he's disqualified for it. I would have given it.
Wow, you're doing this under protest?
Yeah, under protest, because you cannot. Otherwise, it's going to be 17 straight opponents of Zach Wilson.
Wait, hold on. Read what you need to read.
Well, he had 2 sacks, has 3 on the season, also forced a fumble. That's about it.
I mean,
he was great.
He's awesome.
Do you guys think there's going to be a Defensive Player of the Year competition with Watt and Micah? Watt became the first guy, he leads the league in sacks with 4 and a touchdown. The first guy ever to do that in the first 2 weeks of a season. He's already won it, right? So I guess that counts. It's got to be Parsons.
I think it's going to be Parsons. However, I mean, Chris Jones already missed a game, so he's going to be behind the 8 ball. But all of the incentives for his holdout, I think, are based on like individual numbers.
Yeah, but he can't. I think Watt could get the sack record though. So I think
possible.
Yeah, and Parsons could get the sack record too. Those 2 guys are going to be chasing Strahan all year long.
The only thing though about Watt that I think is going to be different than with Micah Parsons, I think that Micah Parsons is going to have more opportunities because I think opponents are going to be in deficits and having to throw the ball to try to get back into the game, and he's going to have more chances to try to get after the quarterback, where the Steelers are going to be in these close games all year long.
Yeah, I think that people will start running at the Cowboys to test them that way. Might as well.
855-2124-CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, time to get to our Daily Deion. Let's do it.
Daily. Do you believe that? Deion. You believe that?
This is the time of the show we update you on what's going on with Colorado and Deion Sanders. Today's sound, though, comes from not Deion, but two-way star Travis Hunter, who appeared on, what was that last night? Twitch or something? Twitch. He was on Twitch on social media last night streaming, and he talked about the dirty hit that knocked him out of the game?
It's football. Something bad's going to happen on the field sooner or later. We just got to get up and fight again. That's what I try to do, get up and fight. Good thing the doctors stopped me, because if there was no doctors there, I would have still been out there playing. But I'm thankful for everybody that helped me that day. Yeah, boy, it's going to be a speedy recovery.
All right, so hoping Travis Hunter gets a speedy recovery. Not going to be available this weekend for the Ducks. Doesn't look like he'll be available for USC either. Obviously didn't really hold a grudge against Henry Blackburn, who was the one who took him out with that dirty hit. Here was Deion Sanders talking about now how that player has been receiving death threats to him and his family.
Henry Blackburn is a good player who played a phenomenal game. You could call it dirty. You could call it he was just playing the game of football. But whatever it was, it does not constitute that he should be receiving death threats. At the end of the day, this is a game. I'm saddened if there's any of our fans that's on the other side of those threats. But I forgive him. Our team forgive him. Travis he's forgiven him. Let's move on. But that kid does not deserve that.
All right, so that's Deion, and hopefully maybe his message gets through and people will back off a little bit on Blackburn. Okay, let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Jasper is in Oregon. He's fired up for the game this weekend against the Buffaloes. Jasper, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for taking my call.
You got it. What's on your mind?
I'm a huge Oregon fan, born and raised in Oregon. The only football we know is in Oregon. And we feel for our little brother Beeves, but Travis Hunter, we wanted him for that game. We were going to knock their socks off whether or not he was going to be there. And the hit by Henry Blackburn, it is a football bang bang play. It has no space in football. We wanted a really competitive game because we are so confident as the Oregon Ducks, and I'm so glad that you picked us as your team this year.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Oregon doesn't really blow out Pac-12 teams except for Colorado.
Exactly. We have a stacked schedule that we have to worry about aside from this. It's not like we're not really worried about this game.
But you know what my fear for Oregon is?
Jasper, thank you for the phone call.
The pressure of the moment.
For who?
For Oregon.
Oh.
I feel like they're going to be tight because there's going to be so much attention. You know, the media is so pro-Colorado. I feel like Oregon is going to be like, God, we have to win this game, or everyone's going to pile on us. So,
do you think Oregon feels like they have to win this game by 100, though?
No, I think they just have to get out of there with a W.
Yeah.
I think the spread is crazy myself, but maybe I'm wrong. I just think Oregon, Kitchie, Bo Nix feeling a lot of pressure to be outstanding here, knowing everybody's watching.
Well, I mean, welcome to big-time college football. And Oregon knows that.
But has Oregon delivered in those moments in recent years?
Well, I mean...
So I just worry that they're going to be
I'm going back to the national championship game. I mean, that's going back pretty far. They've had other big games.
I think that Colorado, this is playing with house money here, obviously, especially with no Travis Hunter. How can they feel any pressure going to Oregon for this game? If they do, I would tell them not to. Just go out there and have fun. I feel like Oregon is the one with much more to lose here.
They are, because they're the 20-point favorite. Is that still the spread, 20? They're the favorite, so of course they should be feeling the pressure, but they also get this game at home.
Yeah.
The fans are going to be crazy, and you do have Colorado. I know, listen, they talk a very confident game. They're all taking their cues from Deion, but it's a major loss here with Travis Hunter. I mean, on the offensive side, you can make up for it, but on the defensive side, they're going to feel this.
No, I know, but listen, Colorado, if Oregon played Colorado State tomorrow, they probably beat them 56-7.
Yeah.
And Colorado State was right there with Colorado. So they should kill them. But I'm telling you, I think the spotlight's going to change this game. I think it's going to be a lot of pressure on Oregon. You saw it with TCU. They got tight. Yep. They're like, oh, my God, what if we lose to Deion here? We're in big trouble.
Yeah, they said it would be a laughingstock.
Yeah, and turned out they were a laughingstock. I think Oregon sees all these headlines, like, wow, we don't want to be on that side. Maybe they respond the other way, and maybe that inspires them, and they play a really great game. I'm betting Colorado.
In the points, but are you betting the money line?
No.
Okay. You're feeling good, but not that good. I think that's a good poll. Do you think Oregon's going to be tight here in this game against Colorado? And I know we have a lot of fans listening in Portland and Eugene. I'd love to know what you think. 855-212-4CBS. You know the team, much better than we do in terms of taking the temperature.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan as of this year. I mean, I've always loved Oregon, but this is my first year really throwing my allegiance behind the Ducks. And to be honest, I'm not that surprised that Deion and that Travis Hunter have kind of forgiven Henry Blackburn, like that, they all want to move on from this, and it's gotten pretty ugly with the death threats and all of that. The one thing I didn't see coming was that two-way star Travis Hunter was all of a sudden going to steal my bit. It's like stealing my material. Travis Hunter appeared last night on his Twitch in a giraffe costume.
Okay.
Like my duck suit. I mean, dude, it's already been done. I'm already doing it. By the way, moving advice duck from Fridays to Wednesdays, if you didn't get the memo. Yes.
Doesn't he have to show up in a duck suit to steal your bit?
I mean, it's like an animal suit. I feel like I kind of got that. It's kind of my thing.
Oh, I don't know. The whole animal kingdom is yours now?
I mean, I think it's kind of my thing. I'm the one who gets to dress up in the suit. I was a little surprised. I mean, clearly the advice duck has become like a national phenomenon. And then I was like, oh, you're going to show up with the giraffe? Feels like you're on my corner a little bit,
Huh. Okay.
You don't think so?
I didn't cross my mind when I saw the video.
Why do you think he was wearing that giraffe suit?
I don't know. It feels like giraffes and ducks are pretty much the opposite of the animal spectrum. Like they couldn't have less in common. Now, it did look a little bit like your duck suit, but I have no. By the way, why was he wearing the giraffe suit?
I don't know. Did anyone ask him? Like, what's up with the giraffe suit? It looked like a pair of like kids' pajamas with a hood. He looked comfortable, like I always do in the duck suit.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Wait, we should do a little research here. There has to be a reason that he dressed as a giraffe. No, he just randomly dressed as a giraffe, did he?
Samter, can you get on that, please? Thank you. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Yeah, wasn't expecting that. Also, poll question for you at Maggie and Pearl. Do you think Oregon's going to get tight in this game against Colorado? Is that the Colorado effect now on teams?
Well,
I thought it fired up Colorado State. They weren't tight. They were 20-point underdogs. They were playing loose.
Yeah, because they're 21-point underdogs.
Yeah.
So you heard what Jasper said. He wanted Travis Hunter on the field so they could blow him out with Travis Hunter.
Right.
It's a lot of pressure. Like, not only do they have to win, now they have to blow them out. I don't know, because Oregon they blow out like Hawaii, but they don't blow out Pac-12 teams at all. I'd be very surprised.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, so you're welcome to weigh in on what's going on this upcoming weekend. Do we have like the celebrity guest list yet for that game? Because I imagine it's got to be pretty awesome. I mean, Oregon already
got to get LeBron.
Get some luminaries. I know, but LeBron now maybe switches allegiances. Not switches, but now with Bronny at USC. I think LeBron's going to the USC Colorado game.
Oh, I thought LeBron was an Ohio State fan, too.
Oh, right. Well,
and a Cowboy fan and a Brown fan.
Yeah, I know. He's like you.
Do you think for 1 second that LeBron's not going to jump on that Colorado bandwagon? Then you've never watched LeBron.
No, he's already on it. He tweets like a madman during the games.
No, he'll definitely side with Deion on this one over Phil Knight. Terrible LeBron.
Let's go to Ryan, who's in Oregon. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Hey, doing well. How about you guys?
Doing well. Do you think Ducks are going to get tight against Colorado like Perloff predicts?
Full disclosure, I'm an Oregon State fan, so you already know my thoughts on that.
Gotcha.
No, I'm just calling in to let our buddy Jasper know that the supposed little brother, he might need a reminder of last year's Civil War game.
Yeah.
Other than that, great show. Keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Good to hear from you. Just because I jumped on the Ducks bandwagon this year does not mean that the Oregon State fans can't call in. Jordan is in Eugene. Jordan, quickly, what do you got?
I mean, I'm with Perloff. It's going to be a tight game. I told my mom, who's going to the game, that if we win by 10, I'd be happy.
Really? So why you think they're going to get tight because of all the extra attention?
I think it's the attention. I think Deion's done a really good job with that team. And then you alluded to it a little bit earlier. The Ducks have they do a really good job of choking in games they shouldn't choke. I can't count the number of times we've gone up to Pullman and we've lost to Washington State.
Yeah, right. Well, but those are rivalry games, right? Jordan, thank you so much for the phone call. Tell your mom to have fun at the game.
I mean, this feels like a rivalry game, too. What's the difference?
Does it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, now this is their most hyped game in years. This is a huge game. And I've seen them lose games at home against Pac-12. Like, honestly, they could get tight. They should, talent-wise, they should destroy them. But Colorado, they're the number 19 team in the country, Mag. Why is it a 21-point spread?
Coming up, maybe the Travis Hunter injury, but it was big even before that. Is there reason to be worried about the Cincinnati Bengals? We'll get to that and a whole lot more. Colorado, Oregon coming your way. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We need a reset for Maggie. We desperately need something.
Laura said it's okay, Maggie. We'll all be okay. You don't know that, Laura.
Yeah.
I love you, but you don't know that.
You know Maggie's got off the deep end when she's yelling at the Weedos.
No. Laura's perceptive. Today is more of an intervention than a radio show.
No.
Deep breath.
She's doing breathing exercises.
I want a camera on Maggie when Drew Gilbert hits a grand slam to win the divisional round, and I just want to be there and say, I told you.
7 years.
Yeah. In the year 2030, when I renounce my Mets fandom for good. I'm just kidding. I can't quit you.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Perloff thinks the Oregon Ducks are going to be tight against Colorado and Deion Sanders this weekend.
You say that like that's of course they're going to be tight. You don't think they're going to be nervous for this?
No, they might be, but here's the thing. Like, you are Oregon. You come into every season with national title or at least college football playoff aspirations.
Yeah.
You can't get tight because the Colorado Buffaloes are coming in. You're a 20-point favorite. You've got to, that's the time to show, hey, this Colorado story is nice. It's fun. We're all rooting, and having a good time rooting for Deion and Shadora and everyone. But at the same time, we're Oregon. We're in a weight class a step above. This is still, a work in progress with Deion. We are a finished product.
Yeah, I understand the thinking, but the reality is you're going against America's team. And here's the other thing too: Colorado's clearly got some talent. It's not
definitely.
It's nothing like we thought they were going to be. So the fact that they can stop the run and run the ball just a little bit is something that we never would have thought coming, because they built this defensive line and offensive line out of scratch.
And even Deion himself said, we're not big enough in the trenches yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why everyone assumed they get blown out, but they have not gotten blown out. So I listen, I think Oregon wins the game, but I don't think that they come out and it's as easy as some people think it will be.
Let's get the thoughts of a Super Bowl champion quarterback, now the host of VSiN Primetime. It's our pal Shaun King. Shaun, what do you think about this? You've been in these situations before. Do you think Oregon's going to get tight in this game?
I don't think they're going to get tight. They have a lot of experience on their offense and defense. Bo Nix started at Auburn, second year at Oregon. So they came into the season with Pac-12 title hopes and aspirations. So I don't think tight is the word I use. I think they're excited because obviously Colorado has galvanized the national media when it comes to college football. Have you ever seen Game Day and Big Noon go to the same city? So, and they were playing a team that were favored by 24 points over. So I just think that shows the power of Deion's brand and how big the Buffs brand has become. So I think it's excitement that'll be, within the locker room in Oregon because you get to play on this big stage. I don't think tight will play into it.
Shaun, what do you think of that spread around 3 touchdowns for Oregon? To me, I totally understand where it's coming from, especially after what happened at Colorado State and Travis Hunter hurt. But it feels, I don't totally get it. Can you explain?
Well, I think this is the first time this has ever happened. And so for once, the bookmakers are guessing. And to anybody who's listening who doubts me, they made TCU 21-point favorites, and Colorado won outright.
Yep.
Then they come back and make Colorado only a 3-point favorite over Nebraska, and they won by almost 30, if I'm not mistaken. Then they made Colorado State 23-point underdogs, and Colorado had to go to overtime to beat them. So they've been completely wrong every week.
It's a great point.
So I think they're finding out because we've never seen a roster with this much turnover, a program that was, for the most part, terrible in the last decade, and all of a sudden you get this influx of talent. How do you go about, putting in your power ratings. And I think they're figuring Colorado out as they go.
Shaun King is joining us, the Super Bowl champion quarterback, host of VSiN Prime Time. Got to get to some NFL stuff, but last one for you on Colorado, which is Shedeur Sanders. What does he project to at the next level, Shaun?
Well, I think right now he's in a competition with Drake May, in my opinion, to be the second quarterback taken in this draft. I think he's that good. I did see an interesting clip, though. Deion and his sons went to the Broncos-Commanders game, and Deion doesn't do anything by mistake. He made it a point to say that Shiloh and Shedeur will both be back in Colorado next year. But in my opinion, with the way he's playing, if he maintains this level of performance, even if they start losing some games, because their schedule's about to get more difficult, but if Shedeur continues to play at this level, I think he'll be in a race with Drake May to be the second quarterback taken behind Caleb Williams.
Play a little devil's advocate. You can get NIL money, and Colorado they'll get the biggest NIL deals ever if he comes back. Maybe he wants to be number one and not be with Caleb Williams. Could that be a factor in this?
Yeah, but again, I don't understand the NIL thing. Unfortunately, I was born about 20 years too early. I couldn't imagine being in college, full scholarship, don't have any bills, and then you get extra. I think Shedeur's making 3 and Caleb's making 4 something. So, it's something to think about. I heard Caleb Williams and his father say, depending on who got the number 1 pick, they might consider staying. But at the end of the day, is there really a bad NFL team? For the most part, they're in legitimate cities. It's only 32 of these companies in the world. So, hell, Mahomes is in Kansas City. He's undoubtedly the best quarterback. Josh Allen's in Buffalo. Joe Burrow's in Cincinnati. So it's not like any of the top, 3, 4 guys right now are in major cities, and they're still superstars.
Yeah, I think you can't get too cute with this kind of stuff too, right? That guaranteed money he'd get as a first-round pick in the NFL is going to be bigger than the NIL stuff. Shaun King is joining us, Super Bowl champion quarterback and host of VSiN Prime Time. Let's get to the NFL. Shaun, what do you do with Joe Burrow right now? Shaun, Zach Taylor, part of me, is being really close to the vest on whether or not he's going to be available this week. You're in an 0-2 hole. Do you sit Joe Burrow if you're the head coach?
Well, they started slow last year, and they kind of hit their stride. Again, I don't love the way he handles the offseason. He does not play his starters in the preseason games, and I think that's why they end up having these slow starts. I think Mike Tomlin said it best when asked about, why he plays his starters so much in the preseason, and he said it's hard to box without sparring. And so I think some of Cincinnati's struggles, at least offensively, are just rust, not having enough reps in live competitive situations. So injury-wise, that's just something we won't know. That soft tissue injury to the calf, you think it's healed. Obviously, he took a bad step late in the Ravens game. He looked like he re-injured it or aggravated it. So we won't know. But I think the bigger, more alarming thing for Cincinnati, what are they really good at? They can't rush the quarterback. They can't defend the run. They struggle to defend the pass. They're very, very average overall on defense. And offensively, they're not really great at anything right now either. So I know they've been really good the last 3 years, but maybe there's some legitimate questions they have to answer regarding this 23 team.
All right, I got a trivia question for you, Shaun. Baker Mayfield, 2-0 without throwing an interception. Can you name the last Bucs quarterback to do that?
Yeah, it actually got me benched. He better adjust something, but it was me.
He got you benched.
How did he get you benched?
So I started that year. We went 2-0. I didn't throw a pick. Started 3-1 or something like that. Anyway, we went 10-6. And, for a first-year starter, I thought I was statistically pretty good, but they decided to bring Brad Johnson in that offseason. And he got a whopping 5-year, $25 million deal. And I didn't sleep for a week because I was like, I just got robbed in bright daylight. And now, hell, the third-string quarterback is getting 5 years, $25 million.
Yeah, it feels a little light.
So we had a debate earlier in the show. If you could have one quarterback this year, Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr, who would you choose?
I'd probably go with Baker.
What are you seeing there?
It's just it's something about Baker that kind of makes me think he has not reached his ceiling. And I think you're starting to see it. He's got an opportunity with Tampa. I'm not jumping off the ledge and saying go get a Baker Mayfield for MVP ticket, but I mean I've surrounded Derek Carr with Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, and he hadn't got it done. You know, to be honest, this is probably one of the more talented teams offensively that Baker's ever been a part of. I mean, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You look on that defense. Levante David, Shaq Barrett. The Bucs got some big names. I told people this before the season. The only thing really missing from last year is Brady. So I would take Baker to answer your question. I'm not a big Derek Carr fan.
Shaun King joining us just for a minute or two more, the former Super Bowl champion quarterback, host of VSiN Prime Time. Shaun, Aaron Rodgers talking some crazy stuff about his timeline or suggesting some crazy stuff, keeping the door open that he could return before the end of this season. You're a former quarterback. You hear that and think what?
Well, I just want to say it sucks, man. And I really haven't been Aaron's biggest fan because I don't think that he handled the last 2-3 years in Green Bay, the way that I would have wanted him to. But no one wants to see the Jets season derailed on the fourth play. Like, we got Hard Knocks. We got the entire, anticipation throughout the offseason. Jets finally have a quarterback. I drafted Garrett Wilson in the damn second round in fantasy football. And for all myriad of reasons, no one wanted to see Aaron get hurt. Listen, he had talked about retiring the last couple of years in Green Bay. Most people thought at most he would be in New York for 2 years. So I do think there's some desperation, to what he's talking about right now because he knows if he takes a traditional avenue to rehab, he probably never plays again, right? Like, I couldn't imagine that he's going to, traditionally in Achilles, I mean, unless you're Adrian Peterson or somebody, right, one of these superhumans, I mean, it's a 12-month legit thing, right? So I hope it works for him. I mean, he's always kind of been outside the box. What's that thing where he goes and sits in the dark? And, I don't know what Aaron got going, but, hey, I hope it works out for him. He's been a great player. The Jets deserve better.
Are you surprised they haven't signed a veteran yet?
No, not really. The only one that I think can come in and help him is Jameis Winston. But because Jake Hayner got suspended, the Saints only have two quarterbacks on the roster, Carr and Winston. So I couldn't see them moving Winston. Other than that, I mean, none of those other guys are really going to upgrade you. I mean, I've heard Jacoby Brissett mentioned, but, I mean, what's that going to do? Get you, 6 meaningless wins? I would say this about the Jets. Where's the defense? I mean, I heard every episode of Hard Knocks, all I heard them talk about was how tough and physical and dominant they were going to be. And they had a golden opportunity against Dallas this past Sunday to prove it. And I really came away unimpressed with the Jets defense. So, as you take questions and you talk Jets, don't just, fall in love with blaming Zach Wilson because he was never supposed to be elite this year. That defense allegedly was supposed to. I hadn't seen it yet.
Shaun King. Shaun, can't tell you how much we appreciate this. We'll check in with you again soon. You can check out Shaun, host of VSiN Prime Time. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. You too. There you go, Shaun. He's right. Defense did not look great against Dallas. And I thought we gave the Cowboys more credit there. Mike McCarthy called a good game. Dak Prescott played mistake-free football.
Dallas didn't do anything until like they scored. I mean, they were okay, but I didn't think they dominated the Jets.
No, they weren't dominating, but they just did exactly what they needed to do.
Right. And I think part of that was a function of going against Zach Wilson. Do you agree Jameis Winston's the only upgrade there? I mean, I feel like there's got to be other upgrades on Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are an upgrade on Zach Wilson.
Carson Wentz, I think he'd be I know you don't like Carson, but
it's not me that doesn't like him.
I think you could go.
The league has spoken about Carson Wentz.
Well, I mean, listen, he until this year he started. He's never been anything but a starter. He's never even been a backup, and he's signed with a new team every year. Yeah, the league has spoken. They can't quit on Carson Wentz. Surprising. I don't know. And Nick Foles, I don't know if he's an upgrade, but I don't totally agree with Shaun on that. I think there are a few possible upgrades.
I want to sneak in a couple of phone calls here because we asked you about this Colorado-Oregon game that's coming up on Saturday. Perloff thinks that Oregon's going to get tight, that they're going to be tight going into this contest. Shaun thought it'd be more excited, not tight. Let's get to Sam. He's in Portland. Sam, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Other than having to listen to Duck Fan on a national radio show talk about garbage, what your last caller said, little brother, referring to Oregon State fan. Well, this is little brother who's beaten you 2 of the last 3 times. And Maggie, I'm sorry, you picked the wrong team in Oregon to follow. You should have been a Beaver fan. And I'm going to tell you why. The difference between Oregon and Colorado and Deion and Oregon fan is that Deion is a lot of hype with a lot of results. Oregon's a lot of hype with little results. I'm calling my shot, 34-30, Colorado. They're going to go in there, and they're going to beat Oregon. And then what are you going to say? What are the excuses people are going to make? I think Oregon's got a good team. I like the players. I like the coaches. The fans are just arrogant and ignorant.
Well, we know that this is listen, I'm not going to say I can't have you come on and insult Duck fans like me. You know, I can't stand for that, even though I've been a fan for about 3 weeks right now. But I think I'm wearing it well. Sam calling a shot there.
By the way, if people want to use this show as a way to act out the Civil War of Oregon State, I'm all for that. We're the duck callers. You're letting the Beavers have the afternoon here. I like this.
Here's our pal Chris in Texas, who's actually calling in about something other than the Cowboys. Chris, how are you?
All right. Enjoyed the past weekend.
I'm sure you did. Cowboys look amazing. I said Dak Prescott 5th in MVP odds. That's too low.
I don't know about that. But
what else you got for us, Chris?
Maybe, but yeah, on the Colorado-Oregon game.
Yeah.
I hope, for once, Perloff is right. I hope Oregon's tight. I want the Buffaloes to go in there and stampede them. And nothing against the Ducks. I like them most of the time. But they're going up against Coach Prime. I got back my Cowboy.
There we go. It all goes back. Chris, thank you for being consistent. Thank you for being exactly what we can count on. Someone diehard Texas at all times. Shaun is at Oregon. Hey, Shaun, what's up?
Yeah, I love those disgruntled Beaver fans, you know. And they're not even really like real little brother. Those are like, I think those fans are like little stepbrother.
Wait, Shaun, before we get to anything, we've got to iron out what's going on with your bet here with Perloff.
What's our bet?
We got the bet ironed out. I was going to send him some salmon if he wins, and you guys are going to send me an autographed photo telling me what a great prognosticator I am.
I know, but don't you think that now the Aaron Rodgers injury might change things just a little bit with your bet?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. I don't think he would ever. I don't think he ever would have made it anyway. I think he was going to get hurt to begin with.
Wait.
I think Russell Wilson would be challenged to make it to the end of the year, and I think Tua will make it longer in the league than Aaron Rodgers. You guys thought Tua was going to make it not through the end of the year? Aaron Rodgers didn't make it.
He didn't make it through the end of the series.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he never completed a pass. Wait, but the Tua thing is different. But hold on one sec. So the bet between you two is that, Perloff, you think that the Jets will finish either first or second in the AFC East, and Shaun called in and said they're not going to finish first or second. They're going to finish third or fourth.
Yeah. So wait, so
do you? I felt like you might want to change the terms a little because that bet was made before Rodgers got hurt.
This could be tough. It's gonna be, well, I'll tell you what, Shaun, can you go out and find me a veteran quarterback for the Jets?
Can you somehow?
No, not at all. You know what? And I didn't even make you pay it for last year. Look at the bet I made with you last year. I go long. I went long this year. I don't make these little bets. You do whatever you want. I want to go back to the Ducks here.
Okay, go ahead.
You know what the odds makers know?
What's that?
The odds makers know what happens to teams that go into Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. And this is going to be great recruiting for Oregon with all eyes on Oregon.
That's true.
This is going to be great recruiting. And it's going to make Coach Slime not look too good.
Coach Slime. But here's the thing. Why does Oregon need any help recruiting?
They don't. But it'll never hurt.
I know, but you don't need to use
bro.
Deion for recruiting. And Shaun, thank you so much for the phone call. Good to hear from you. You don't need Deion for recruiting. You don't need any of that. You're Oregon.
Well, I mean, in the glory days, they weren't a recruiting powerhouse. They had Chip Kelly just got his guys and blew everyone else away. That was a different format for
I know,
Oregon.
but you and I have both been there. It's
it's incredible.
Beautiful.
It's totally incredible. But I do think that it's a different – I don't think this is the Oregon of 2009. I think things have changed a little bit. So, yeah, I think this is a great showcase for Oregon. In all seriousness, that's the other thing about Colorado. If you beat them by a lot –
you're the story.
You're the story, and also 17-year-olds are watching that around the country. And, I think that's a really interesting point.
Do you think Colorado State got a bump?
No, I don't
Just
think.
for the double overtime, keeping it close, basically had them?
Yeah, I don't think people even know what conference they're in. When I say people, I don't.
You're talking for yourself.
I don't know. What are they in the
Mountain West?
They're in the Mountain West now. Okay. Yeah, I don't think. When's the last time they had a winning record?
That I can't tell you.
Yeah. Do you know anything about them?
I know they had the 31-year-old kicker who had 3 kids and a wife and lived in the suburbs.
Did they?
I told you that on Friday.
They had a quarterback, Bradley Van Pelt. Remember him? Who was really good. Did he ever make it in the NFL? That's the last Colorado State player I remember. But that being said, too, I think the USC game and the Oregon game kind of work together. So USC, it's important that they win that game because they want to be the number 1 recruiter on the West Coast. Now they got Deion coming in there, is going to get California. I think that's a great point by Shaun.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, the fallout from Nick Chubb's injury. It's not what you may have been thinking about. We'll tell you in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. It's interesting, Maggie. So Colorado's bringing a lot of eyeballs to their games. I think a lot of people don't watch a lot of college football. I think a lot of NFL people who don't watch on Saturdays are going to be tuning in Saturday, and they're going to get a good look at Bo Nix, too. So I do think there's real repercussions on both sides of these games. I mean, Caleb Williams is already a done deal the following week. But I think this is a monstrous game for Bo Nix. That's another reason I think, like, Oregon and Nix, they might feel some pressure. I mean, Bo Nix obviously has had some well-documented struggles specifically against Georgia. Georgia has just tortured him going back to Auburn. So I don't know. I'm not so sure that the moment being this big is helpful to Oregon. I think on a neutral field on a normal Saturday, Oregon would just out-talent them. But I wonder, does this spotlight... maybe it's because I'm a choker and like if everyone in the world was watching. Oh,
we do a live show every day.
On the athletic field, like the more eyeballs that were on me on the basketball court, the more nervous I got.
Yeah, I was a very good practice player. Not as good when it got to the game, to the match.
Yeah. Some people like Tom Brady and Eli Manning, like they thrive in the big moment.
Yeah.
Not so much me.
No, I told you because I once double faulted a whole game away in the state championship.
Oh, yeah. I'm not surprised. We're two of a kind
Yes,
here.
we are.
But I think Bo Nix in the past, maybe these moments have been troublesome. So this is a great test for him. He could move right up the first round. He's a little older, but he could move right up the first round. So now it's Colorado is not only about Colorado, like their opponent is this huge story every week too.
You know, it's a great point. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You mentioned that, yes, like more people are watching Colorado. It actually set a record, the game against Colorado State, for ESPN in terms of the late primetime window. So that's games that start after 10 o'clock Eastern on the East Coast. There's never been an audience bigger than Saturday night, Colorado State, with over 9 million. Just for kind of like a barometer, usually that game gets like 1 million people watching.
Still half of that Saints-Panthers slugfest last night.
Jeez. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can watch the show. That's where the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers hang out in the chat. You're welcome to join them. They're a very friendly and welcoming crew. Aaron Wilson says, okay, Maggie, new bet. When the Beavs beat the Ducks, as I'm rooting for the Oregon Ducks this year, when the Beavs beat the Ducks, you have to wear a lumberjack outfit.
Love it. That's great.
What does that even entail? Flannel? What else am I wearing?
So I pull up you have to have suspenders, jeans, work boots, a red flannel, a red cap.
It's like the bounty man? The bounty, like on the paper towel?
I think he is a lumberjack.
Yeah, he is a lumberjack, right?
Yeah, he's exactly like the bounty man.
Yeah, he's cutting down trees so you can wipe up your counter.
Wait, here's the question. I got to wear red? It has to be red?
I'm looking up lumberjacks. Yep, got to be red.
Is that so it stands out against the greens? Like people could find you if something happens?
Or they don't shoot you because they think you're a deer. That might be it.
That happens a lot on the job.
Oh,
Yikes.
I would assume so, yeah.
Okay. Suspenders. I don't have those. I might have a red.
First off, the game's not over. I would buy the outfit after the game.
I know. I'm just trying to do a mental checklist of my wardrobe. I don't have a lot of lumberjack or lumberjane looking stuff.
Well, I don't know. Is lumberjack asexual?
Wait, yeah. Is there such a? I've never heard lumberjane. Is that a thing?
I've heard that before. Have
you guys heard that?
I've heard a woman call another woman that because she wore a flannel shirt. I think that she was just kind of poking fun of her. But I think what else do I have? Work boots? No. Suspenders? No.
But you're going to have to invest.
Red flannel? No.
Fake beard?
Oh,
definitely no. I don't have those lying around. I'm not a spy working for the CIA.
What about the axe?
They might frown upon that here.
You're not a spy is something a spy actually probably would say.
Yeah, great. Or am I?
We probably have an axe for the fire prevention around here. There's got to be an axe.
Yeah. Why don't we take that from the fire prevention area? Hey, hey, fire
what could
guys.
go wrong? Knowing me, I definitely forget to put it back.
First of all, that's a real axe. I don't trust any of us with a real axe. Plastic, rubber, fine. A real, actual, dangerous axe? No, thank you.
It's an axe. It's not even a electric. No, what you could carry an axe. Who cares? You're not going to use it on someone.
I don't think
absolutely
you can
maul somebody with that.
Can you
accidentally.
carry around an axe? I don't think so.
If you saw
you can
somebody
grab
walking
an axe
down
in the
street,
hallway.
Yeah, if you saw someone walking down the street with an axe, you're running in the opposite direction.
Exactly. I mean, I saw
not in
Shining.
the woods. Not if maybe in New York
But
City.
this isn't the woods. I need to bring it into the studio.
She might be dressed as a lumberjack, but she's not actually cutting down trees.
So if you get a steak knife at a restaurant, it's not like you run for cover. Because what are you talking about? An axe is not that scary. What was
people have like machetes and stuff? They get arrested for it.
There's an axe literally 50 yards from us right now.
I know, and it's behind glass that I think you're supposed to like only break glass in emergency type thing. This isn't like that.
No one's in charge around this place. We could totally take that back. I would completely look around you. Is there anybody who's going to yell at us?
I mean, our boss. Point. I don't know.
I'm not saying that no one's in charge, but our bosses do not care about the physical plant of this place that much. I don't.
I mean, they cared about you eating peanut butter. They cared about me not bringing a chainsaw in. So
the chainsaw, right? That's what I was trying.
Monitoring.
That's the word I could find. A chainsaw is dangerous. I do not trust you having a chainsaw. You could carry an axe in. You're not going to use it.
I know, but there's a lot of steps that I have to go through in order to get here. I take mass transit at some point during my commute. I can't bring an axe on a subway. Dexter, I can't bring an axe on a subway.
I just thought about it, and I was like, oh, everybody's running out that car. That's for sure.
By the way, you can't. I wouldn't even get on the A train without an axe. Have you been on the A train lately?
Yes. Are you crazy to have one or crazy not to have an axe on the subway?
You could put it in a bag. You don't have to carry it on your shoulder.
How do you transport an axe?
Put it in a gym bag.
A gym bag?
I mean, they do have those axe throwing places in Brooklyn. I wonder if people carry their own axes there.
They definitely do. It's
people definitely bring. I've been to them. People definitely bring their axes.
Wait, they bring their own axes?
And they have like cases for them. There are actual cases for them.
Are you guys afraid of knives too? I don't understand what's going on here. Axes are not that big a deal.
Okay, a machete, different story. An axe is like a big deal, I think.
What about like a hand axe, like one that's a foot long? That's nothing.
You mean like a rock hammer?
A hatchet?
Yeah, I guess you call it a hatchet, but it's an axe as well. The kind you do at axe throwing.
Yeah, because those are not. They don't have the long handles, right? That's what you're talking. You're talking about the shorter. Yeah.
Even the one with long handles. You guys are such city people.
But
I can't believe I'm saying that.
You have like 2 hands for that long handle one. If you're just walking around with an axe with one hand, I mean that is scary stuff.
I feel like it's almost akin to like the person who has like the bat with the barbed wire around it from like The Walking Dead.
Wait. So if you go to someone's house,
people walking around with axes?
No, in the woods, yes. But if you go to a house,
hold on, you've been in the woods enough to see people with axes?
Yes, I've seen 1 million people cut trees before and like cut logs in their backyard 100 times. My parents and my in-laws both have axes. They cut firewood.
Wow, they cut their.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're not like putting in their car and driving down to the local store and picking up a gallon of milk with an axe.
Well, here's the thing. Carol might be a wizard with an axe. I didn't know that until today. But she wouldn't have brought it to WIP when we were doing the show there.
Well, let me ask you this, though. If you go to a house, say in suburban New Jersey where you live, and somebody has an axe in the garage, is that equivalent to having a bat with barbed wire wrapped around it to you? Everybody's got axes. 90% of our audience has an axe in their garage right now.
An axe in their garage. I do live in suburbia, and of course people have axes. They don't bring them to New York City and then bring them to work.
But if it's for a costume, you can put it in a bag.
I don't know.
I feel like costumes are fake axes.
Get a fake axe, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
fake
the next time you go to Spirit Halloween and they're selling you a real axe, run very fast.
Meanwhile, those places are open already.
What about a chainsaw?
They already said no when we want to do the Carson Wentz poster.
Who said no?
HR.
I don't remember that.
I have 16 emails. No chainsaws. In fact, no power tools of any kind.
I didn't get involved in any of that because I didn't want the Carson Wentz poster.
I know you were
when he takes over for the Jets in Week 4, we're going to want that poster back.
There's bits and pieces of it in the office.
I don't know.
Shrapnel.
I feel like, you guys never carry a knife around?
No.
What? Who are you?
We're talking about a box cutter?
Are you
No,
are you Batman? Why are you carrying around a knife?
I don't know. Like I'm sure I've carried a knife at some point in my life.
But the question I have for you is, if you saw somebody with an axe on the streets of New York City, what's your reaction then?
So describe this person. Are they dressed like a lumberjack?
That makes it creepier because it's not trees for miles.
Yeah, what if they are dressed like
trees here?
I'm with Maggie on this. That makes it worse.
Okay.
Like this person just escaped from Bellevue, which is a very famous psychiatric hospital.
Say you're driving around Main Street, USA, and you go past Bill's house, and Bill's in the front yard with an axe. Are you calling 911?
No, I'm not.
Do you even notice it? Do you care? No.
No, because it fits the scenery.
Okay.
It fits the area.
Thank you,
but,
Dexter.
all right, just throw it in a hockey bag, which I'm sure Bill has. Just throw it in a bag and then bring it in. You're fine. There's one, or we'll just grab that one out of the hallway. I'll tell you.
Until this happens. Somehow that axe rips a hole in the bag, and everybody's looking at you like you're crazy.
Or it just like hits you on the side. I don't know.
Axes are typically, unless you're sharpening the axe, they're pretty dull. They're used mostly for cutting wood, right?
Yeah. Right. You're not really.
Yeah, very soft wood. Of course, it's a very dull.
Have you guys ever used an axe? I have a feeling.
I have.
Yeah. You put you put that metal thing in the middle, and you hit the metal thing. Yeah, it's great.
But
no, I don't know if you're really supposed to use the metal thing.
Yeah, to split logs.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do, but like I think, the old school way, there's no metal thing. You just go full
the old school way,
axe axe to wood.
Yeah. I just think I'm sorry, Maggie, people's perception of it is going to be a lot about where you are, and some of it comes from horror.
Right.
Too.
Like time and place.
But if it's a special bed, like we can bring in a medium-sized axe. It doesn't have to be a gigantic over-your-shoulder thing. I mean, honestly,
I just can't think of people less qualified to talk about this than the people.
How many axe throwing bars are in Brooklyn alone? 10?
There's one right near my daughter's gymnastics place she goes. It's like a couple blocks away. And there's a couple in that area.
That's an interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah, there's gymnastics and axe throwing.
By the way, now every single store in Brooklyn, you either throw axes or you climb fake rocks. That's the only things to do in Brooklyn right now.
I think that's across the country, the axe throwing. What is crazy to me about those axe throwing places is how many of them serve alcohol.
Yeah, remember we were in Kansas City for the draft. There was a massive axe throwing bar right next to our hotel.
Did you sign a waiver to do that? Like to drink and throw an axe?
I think so.
And I feel like those two things should not go together.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like bowling and drinking is barely like above board.
Darts, like things could go really wrong, let alone axes. Anyway, maybe we should do that for our next show bonding event.
Axe throwing?
Axe throwing.
Yeah,
I thought you meant just walking down the streets of New York carrying axes together.
Yeah.
We'd be like a gang.
Cool. I always wanted to get arrested with you guys.
Axe throwing is pretty cool. We should definitely do that. Why not? By the way, this is a country where you could carry guns around, so I don't know what you guys are so worried about axes.
We're worried about axes.
Well,
fair point.
Because, can I do the costume without the axe? And that's a whole thing. Meanwhile, what about if Oregon just smokes Oregon State? Then I don't have to worry about this at all.
DJU's got this covered.
Then Aram said he would send something quintessential, something quintessentially Oregon. So thank you for the weed.
By the way, our guy DJU.
We got it here, though, too.
I was hoping it was salmon, but...
yeah. No, that's your bet with Shaun.
Salmon, weed, it's all the same.
DJU came back to earth, Mike, our guy, last week.
Uyunglele?
Yeah. I don't know, Maggie. I think you're okay on this Oregon. So you're a duck. You're a duck for life.
Well, I'm a duck for the season.
Duck for the season. You're not going to lose that bet. You don't have to bring an axe in. Do not lose sleep over the axe. I know how you are.
I don't want to be thinking about this from now until the Civil War's in months. This is not happening next week. I have weeks and weeks and weeks to think about it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Welcome to call in. Coming up, the one NFL team that could crash the party this year. We got an interesting what if for you next. Don't move. We continue after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Dexter Henry.
Sports Flash.
All right, guys, we start with NFL news. Giants running back Saquon Barkley suffered an ankle injury in his team's 31-28 victory over the Cardinals on Sunday. And after a diagnosis came out on Monday, it was suggested that he was expected to miss 3 weeks. Now, head coach Brian Daboll says there's a chance the running back could play in week 3.
I'm not saying that he's out yet. He's a quick healer. I'm not saying he's in, he's out. We're going to take it all the way up with him to Thursday, but he feels a lot better today. I just talked to him, so we'll see where we're at.
Giants play the Niners in San Francisco on Thursday night. Baseball news: the Rays officially announced a deal for their new 30,000-seat Dome Stadium in St. Petersburg this morning. It should open for the 2028 season, and the team is putting $700 million towards the price tag. Also in baseball, the Dodgers, winners of 4 straight games, they will look to make it 5 in a row as they host the Tigers. Los Angeles is currently 3.5 games behind the Braves for the top spot in the National League. I'm Dexter Henry.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, SiriusXM, Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, Perloff, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. After 2 weeks, and I know it's early, we'll get back to Colorado and some comments. Deion and Shador were on Tom Brady's podcast last night, or Let's Go podcast. We'll get to that in a second, but I'll give you this hypothetical. After 2 weeks, I'll give you the AFC favorites, the Chiefs,
okay,
the Bills, or the Bengals, or you get the field. Who do you think, if you had to call it right now, goes to the Super Bowl from the AFC? Is it the top three favorites, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals?
Oh, yeah.
Or would you take the field?
I would definitely take those top three.
Why?
The Chiefs.
Just because the Chiefs, not because the Bills and the Bengals.
Wait, are the Bengals still a top three? I was wondering because they're really good. They're in trouble.
Okay,
right?
but three, we'll say like the three favorites heading into the season.
Yeah. I would take that because the Chiefs are in there. And I haven't seen anyone who I feel so comfortable with.
But the Chiefs haven't looked awesome. The defense, in fact, is outpacing the offense. I was not super impressed with what they did in Jacksonville.
But say you had to pick three teams from the field to compete. Who? Miami? Who else?
Miami, I've already picked Jacksonville to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs handled them, and they had no Travis Kelce.
A lot of room to go there with Jacksonville. They got to figure out what's going on offense, like what's happening in the red zone, which I felt like was actually a bit of an anomaly. And the Ravens.
Oh, the Ravens. Yeah, what do you know about?
The Ravens are just they're very injured right now.
I mean, listen, the Bengals played like garbage the first half. And then they finally woke up and stormed back in the second half. The Ravens, there's a lot to be seen there. I don't know. I still feel better with the Chiefs. In fact, you could have put the Bills in the other group.
Okay. Still off them. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills, that's funny.
This could be setting up for something a little bit different this year.
For Buffalo?
No, for all three of the favorites. For the three we came into the season thinking they were going to be the three, favorites from the AFC to make it to the Super Bowl. I feel like it's already wonky.
I feel like it's the Chiefs and everybody else. It doesn't feel like, for some reason,
that's a little bit on reputation. That's not exactly from what you've seen the first 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, the fact that they were in Jacksonville and really never were super scared of that game, and their defense held Jacksonville that's amazing.
I know, but that's because Trevor Lawrence was just missing guys in the red zone. I mean, they had 100 chances to try to. I think it was 7 shots at the end zone. They missed all 7.
Yeah, I was actually, but it was on the road with no Travis Kelce. Really, I know Kelce played, but he didn't do anything. and they held Jacksonville to 9 points, regardless of.
I thought that was more about Jacksonville not having their you-know-what together on offense.
But they were fully healthy. I mean, can you imagine if you add Kelsey to that mix? And also, I think that Kansas City is going to get to know their wide receivers a little bit. Week 1, that was a weird week. They honestly, they kind of took their foot off the gas. The other favorites, I don't feel strongly enough about anyone. Miami, yes, they look really good, but still, I have the same fear I always do. Buffalo, same fear I always do. I think they can be electric on offense, but at the end of the day, it's Josh Allen or bust. Tell me, am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong about that.
And then Jacksonville is in the AFC South. There's no one in the AFC West. You know what the big disappointment is, and the reason the whole AFC North has already fallen apart in 2 weeks.
Well,
remember we were all about them?
Well, you were. You picked the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC. The offense looks bad, as it looked bad last night in that Monday night game against Cleveland. Cleveland's offense doesn't look very good either. Now, both defenses look good, so maybe the offense catches up. But
well, the injuries scare me about the Browns.
Yeah, with no Nick Chubb now.
But the team that the Ravens did look good, you're right, but they don't necessarily look like a Super Bowl favorite yet. The team that is really disappointing is the Bengals. I mean, so many people picked them.
Yep.
I looked at picking them. I thought about them. Now I don't feel like they're even in the conversation.
Well, it doesn't feel like anyone really has a good handle on what's going on with Joe Burrow. Maybe they're just keeping it really close to the vest, but, they got a Rams game coming up, Monday Night Football, home for the Rams, and the Rams suddenly look kind of spry. So this is going to be tough.
Okay, so let's do another show bet. I get the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals. You get the Dolphins, the Jaguars, and who's your third team?
No, I get the field if we're doing that.
Well, who do you? Okay, yeah, get the field
for a surprise team.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely
like that one.
I like that bet a lot.
Okay,
it's pretty. I think it's if DraftKings or FanDuel put that out there, I'd say it would be close to even. I think I'd get a little bit of the worse odds.
Sandra, can we also tweet that out? If you are given after 2 weeks, Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, or the field to make it to the Super Bowl from the AFC. 855-2124-CBS. Okay, so Shedeur Sanders and Deion were on Tom Brady's Let's Go podcast, and Deion had this to say. He said, everything that Brady does, everything you say, you have no idea how many times I use you to get on Shedeur's butt. He'll say, so you think Tom has a Maybach in college? You think Tom wants a Rolls-Royce Phantom in college? Went on to say, this article says that Shedeur's NIL valuation is now $5.1 million. There you go. Brady said his response would be to get your butt in the film room as much as you can.
Are we an official PR arm of the Deion Sanders machine? Now, why are we reading these quotes?
I'm just telling you, this Tom Brady is now taking on role of mentor to Shedeur Sanders.
All right, whatever. This is, again, I'm back to the, oh my God, please. Now I hope Deion loses, that I have to hear all of a sudden.
You think this is going away if they lose?
Three
no
FBS
way.
games, and all of a sudden Shedeur Sanders is the new Tom Brady who won 7 Super Bowls? Okay.
Well, I mean.
There's no 3 games. They beat TCU, Nebraska, and Colorado State. And now Shedeur Sanders is basically Tom Brady. You called him, what did you call him the other day? Or somebody called him, somebody called
Black Brady.
Black Brady, yeah.
right. No, they said they would trademark that for him.
3 games.
No, but I'm trying to think, what was the signature win that Brady had in college, though?
Nothing. I don't know. The Rose Bowl. He won that game.
He did win the Rose Bowl.
But, no, I think it's a little crazy to start comparing. Would you compare Caleb Williams to Tom Brady already?
No, but I'm old enough to remember when people were comparing Zach Wilson to Patrick Mahomes. So people do stupid things. I'm not here for that. I'm just saying Shedeur has this whole thing around him now, which is not just a PR machine, but I think all guys who have fathers who, not all of them, but a lot of guys who had fathers who are athletes, I think it helps them. I think it helped Klay Thompson. I think it helps Steph Curry. I think it helps a lot of guys because they kind of see the way. It's rare when it's someone whose dad was like a super duper star, like Deion, where their kids might be able to live up to the hype. That's rare.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny. Usually a mid-level star has Deion, it'll be a rare exception. I think a huge star to have such a star kid.
And now you got Tom Brady, though, as a mentor. Like, not everyone gets that. Not everybody gets to tap into that kind of wisdom when they're this age.
Wait, you didn't read me the quote. So Tom Brady is a mentor to Shedeur? Just because Did Deion say, I use Tom Brady as an example?
No, but then Shador said, hearing it from my dad, I've always heard it my whole life. I understand what he's saying now the majority of the time, but whenever I talk to Tom, it's just different because he's actually been back there taking snaps.
There you go. I move over Tom Brady. I guess you have a challenge for the GOAT status.
Coming up, the latest from the Michigan State scandal involving Mel Tucker. We'll get to that in just moments. Don't move. Maggie, Perloff, and you on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Altuve buzzer is definite.
Oh, you guys are nuts if you think he actually had a buzzer under there. He didn't.
What? Wait, Stu, do you believe the buzzer?
I believe the buzzer.
You do?
I think everybody
nuts.
believes the buzzer.
No. Think about how silly that really is. You think all these years later, nobody would have spilled the beans? Nobody said a word?
Yeah, but it was so awkward the way he was hiding something.
No, he had a stupid tattoo and didn't want people to rip his shirt off.
Oh, get out of here.
I believe that.
Who on earth?
Sure. Wait a minute, Ackerman
Anyone I know with a tattoo wants to show that tattoo more than anything in the world.
Wow, you guys, I thought I was the conspiracy theorist around here. You guys sound whack.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Perloff thinks that the Oregon Ducks are going to be tight in this upcoming game against Colorado.
Yeah, but listen, that doesn't mean they're going to lose or anything. It just means I think the pressure, this is a lot of pressure. This is
what
not
the
a
Ducks
normal
want,
game.
Though. This is, as I can speak for my Ducks, which is a lot of eyeballs. I think that the Ducks have always had everything, right? They've always had the money, they've had the recruiting, they've had talent. But when's the last time, the national stage was just all focused totally on Oregon?
Certainly last year for the Georgia game, and it was a disaster. That's what I worry about.
Well, but that was week one. It's right out of the chute.
Oregon.
They rebounded really nicely.
Tons of big national games, and I don't know. I just think this is so different, though. And Bo Nix has a lot of pressure on him. He's got to be elite here. He can't have a ho-hum game at all. Even if they win, he can't have a so-so game. He's got to show out here.
Okay, great. Are we ready to go? Fantastic. All right, to turn our attention to all things college football, we welcome in college football writer for The Athletic. It's our pal, Stewart Mandel. Stewart, thanks so much for the time. How you doing?
Hey, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. I mean, couldn't have guessed that we'd be talking about Colorado, Oregon as much as we have. It's Tuesday, and we are already big time previewing that game. Perloff thinks that Oregon could be tight. What do you think?
This is the game. Well, I feel like every week people are like, oh, this is the week Colorado's going to get exposed and Coach Prime's going to go down and all that. But it's a huge point spread, and it's really just a whole other level of quarterback that Colorado's got to face. I'm really looking forward to seeing Bo Nix and Shedeur go head-to-head on the same field because – and I know, Perloff watches these games solely through NFL draft prospects, right? And, which one's going to get drafted higher, and Shadeur's seen as first-round guy now. But, if nothing else, it should be like we joke that the Pac-12 has become what the Big 12 used to be, all offense, no defense, and this could certainly be a game like that.
Well, Stu, we've been watching Bo Nix since you and I worked together at Sports Illustrated in 2005. I think he was a sophomore at the time.
On the cover.
How does he usually respond to the? I mean, listen, every game's different. How does he usually respond to these big moments? I'm thinking about that really tough Georgia game. Obviously, a lot of tough Georgia games, but he's been in some huge SEC battles. Do you think we see the best Bo Nix, or is it possible this spotlight gets to him?
It seems to me that at this point we can't even really look at the Auburn tenure because he's just such a different player now at Oregon. He performed very well in the big games last year. The thing that became a meme when he was at Auburn is he was just so roller coaster, right? He was, just when people started to get their hopes up there, he'd go out and have a clunker of a game, and that just hasn't been the case at Oregon. He's been that guy for the most part. He's been that guy week in, week out.
Stewart Mandel is joining us from The Athletic. I'm sorry.
No, I'd say it's an interesting draft. I think both these guys could be first-round picks, too. I know you don't like to project, but as far as first-round talent, I mean, it's very possible. Don't you guys think that we're watching 2 first-round quarterbacks on Saturday?
When I see, and it's only been 3 games, but from what I've seen of Shedeur Sanders, yes, he is definitely in that group. Everybody says Caleb obviously number one, and then Drake May. And I don't know how locked in stone Drake May is as number two or not. You'd have to talk to some better draft experts than me. But yeah, I think Shedor's, makes so many big time throws. The kind of guy that just puts his team on his back. Bo Nix, it's hard to say. He came back to school because I don't think he would have been a first round pick in this past draft. But now you're getting another year of film on him. One thing that's really stood out about him last year was how good he is on the deep ball. And I was a little worried coming into the season that they had such a good offensive line last year and they lost a lot of talent and experience off it. I thought, well, what if they can't protect him as well? But so far, at least through these first three games, that hasn't been an issue.
Stewart Mandel's joining us from The Athletic. You want to watch the show, come on in, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Before we get to more games for the weekend, we got to ask you about what's going on with Mel Tucker and Michigan State. They sent him a notice of termination after he allegedly harassed an anti-sexual assault activist who was contracted to work with the football team. Brenda Tracy goes around the country talking to football programs and other programs about her own surviving a gang rape. And she's worked with a lot of football teams. And now this situation with Mel Tucker has gotten really, really messy. They're saying, Stu, that they intend to fire him because it's for conduct which constitutes moral turpitude. He brought public disrespect, contempt, or ridicule upon the university. They're not really even talking about alleged harassment. They're talking about just the reflection on the university. It stood out to me. Do you think that Michigan State is going to be able to terminate him for those reasons?
Well, obviously, I think everything changed for them once the story got out. There was going to be this hearing on October 5th and 6th, and I think they would have saw that through and it would have remained private. But then the story got out in USA Today, and we've been saying that before he actually officially got fired, and many of us would say his version of events, if you believe him at his word of the kind of the best case scenario, was still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And they laid it out, I thought, pretty well in that letter. I think, you saw Mel Tucker's response today. Clearly, once they actually go through the termination, he's going to sue them. He has $70 million on the line. And they're going to bet that, that what they wrote in that letter constitutes a violation of that clause in the contract. It's a very vague clause and there is a clause like that in pretty much every coach's contract. It kind of gives the school wide latitude to determine, what constitutes moral turpitude. But I think that that's a pretty strong case. And also, maybe they end up settling for some reduced amount of money. They'll have to go through the whole process. But I figured once it came out publicly, and in particular, once Mel Tucker responded to the initial report, basically went on attack against Michigan State and said, well, that's somebody who knows he's not coming back. And he's trying to get his side of the story out there, and he's probably going to sue them eventually.
Not to be cynical about this, but what is the sort of struggles with Michigan State football? How does that fit into all this? There are a lot of people who are saying, well, if the team was doing great, then maybe they would view the whole situation differently.
I think that that's true with any of these coaches, that any coach that gets in trouble, if they're, Rick Pitino and their national championship Hall of Fame coach, it kind of magically goes away. And if it's a situation where, and in particular at Michigan State, where I think they gave him this huge contract based off basically 2/3 of a season, and then last year was disappointing, it's almost like a relief among Michigan State fans that they were able to get out of it. And it's impossible to say. But one thing, obviously, that, you have to say with Michigan State is there have been so many scandals there recently, most notably Larry Nassar. And you said it best, Maggie. He is accused of sexually harassing a sexual assault awareness advocate. Just the optics of that are so mind-numbing that I do wonder if it wouldn't have mattered how he's doing on the field.
Yeah, Stewart, you cover college football for as long as you have. You've been around, you've covered some really crazy scandals. Everything that's run a long spectrum and a wide spectrum of scandals. How stunning is this sort of fall from grace for Mel Tucker?
bizarre. There's no other way to put it. I mean, in 2 years' time, less than 2 years' time, he went from everybody's hot coaching to, I mean, one of the reasons he got that big contract, if you remember, was the season when USC had already fired Clay Helton and was going to be hiring the next coach who ended up becoming Lincoln Riley. And Mel Tucker was rumored to be one of the candidates. So that's why they gave him that huge contract. So to go from, hey, this would be a great hire for USC, to out of a job 2 years later where he cost himself the job is astonishing.
Turning our attention to this weekend of college football, I mean, the games are ridiculous. One game I wanted to ask you about, Ohio State and Notre Dame. We have not really seen like a great Ohio State team so far this year. Is there a chance they put it all together? I feel like they're a totally different team than we've seen the last 3 years against what looks like a really great Notre Dame team. I kind of lean Notre Dame here, Stewart.
It definitely feels a lot different than, for instance, going into their game last year. I mean, Sam Hartman has changed the whole perception of Notre Dame. It's been so long since they had an elite quarterback. Brian Kelly won a lot of games there, where his best quarterback, I think, was that one season with Deshaun Kaiser, right? It was guys like Ian Book and Jack Cohn. And so in comes Sam Hartman, and for once, they have a quarterback who we think is comparable, if not better, to Ohio State's quarterback. That's a much different equation. Now, I do think Ohio State's defense is a lot better this year from what we've seen so far. So this will be a big test for Sam Hartman. But, I mean, I can honestly say it feels like a toss-up game. I would not have said that about an Ohio State-Notre Dame game anytime recently.
Stuart, the one game that you think has the biggest ramifications for the college football playoff, I mean, I think we can circle two for sure, which would be Florida State, Clemson, and also Alabama and Ole Miss.
Florida State, Clemson is a big one because after coming out of the LSU game week 1, everybody started pointing to Florida State as a national championship contender. And Clemson obviously lost to Duke the next night, and we were all down on Clemson. So Florida State, a little bit of a scare against Boston College. Not a little bit, a lot of a scare last week against Boston College. This is the key game. And it's been a while since Florida State beat Clemson. But this time I think people are expecting them to beat Clemson. And, if they lose, now both those teams have a loss already. It kind of gives the ACC no margin for error.
Man, I watched that BC game, Stewart. Was that just an anomaly? How close? A couple calls go a different way. Florida State could have lost to Boston College. It makes me wonder. There are all these Big Ten games this weekend, too. Is the ACC really on par with the SEC and the Big Ten right now? I know Florida State beat LSU, but that BC game made me nervous.
The SEC has really struggled this year.
Yeah.
In non-conference play. And, of course, at the end of the season, if Georgia wins the national championship, nobody's going to remember that. But as a whole, the Pac-12 has had a much better start to the season than the SEC. I think the ACC has been better this year than they have been recently. The BC game was weird for Florida State. I mean, I think anytime you go on the road in conference, it's not really about style points. But they absolutely could have lost that game. And, in fact, BC, I think, set a school record for penalties and still almost had a chance to win the game. So I'm curious to see. Also, if I'm Florida State, I'd be a little miffed at the schedule makers. Why are they playing back-to-back conference road games in the first month of the season? That means they've only played one home game so far because the LSU game was in Orlando.
But obviously the game with the biggest impact on the Final Four is Colorado-Oregon, because we all know the way the world's going. I mean, how shocked would you be if Deion pulled off the upset here in Eugene?
I'm done being shocked by Deion. I'm not kidding you, guys. I went to the TCU game, and the night before I'm with some writers, and we actually made the analogy of, like, could this be like the Bishop Sycamore game? Like, that's how little confidence I had in Colorado. And then, saw what they came out and did. So I'm not going to rule them out. Now, it wasn't first of all, Travis Hunter injury is a big deal because they have other receivers, but he's, lockdown cornerback, and you're going against Oregon. Troy Franklin's a great receiver. So that's a I wish we were seeing them at full strength. But yeah, it would be, I think most of us expect this is the week where they go down. But if he pulls it off again, man, the story just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And by the way, the following week against USC at home, if they win this game, it's gonna be like higher TV rating than the college football playoff. It's just going to be insane.
I'm like, is there someone more famous that can show up at the game besides The Rock? Like, they already had The Rock, already came for the Colorado State game. I don't know. How do you get more famous? Like, Oprah is going to be there? I don't know. But, Stu, you just realized...
Beyonce is going to do the halftime show.
Stewart, you realize what you just did. You know that Deion has people who are just surfing the internet all day looking for bulletin board material, and you saying that you and the fellow writers thought this could be a Bishop Sycamore situation.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have admitted that out loud.
You just made it personal, as Deion would say. Stuart Mandel, of course, we joke, from The Athletic. Thank you so much, Stuart. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the weekend.
All right, thanks, guys.
Enjoy the weekend. It's Tuesday. I realized I just said that.
Fire one more team. Let's not discount my Penn State Nittany Lions.
I know.
Big game this week. If they could take out Iowa, easy sailing to the Final Four, baby. Well, they're number 7 now. I think they move up to 5 this week, and then they have Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State, that Ohio State Notre Dame game at 7:30. Is there a chance? We've been talking about Ohio State might not be that good
in South Bend. It's possible.
They definitely have not looked like the Ohio State teams of the past.
Okay,
I love Ryan Day, but this is not the same team.
I think 2 things that happened preseason that are starting to maybe rear their ugly head, where I was told, don't worry, and it was quarterback competitions at both Ohio State and Alabama. And these 2 teams that took forever to name their starters, not because they were trying to play like, some kind of jujitsu with their opponent for week 1. It was simply because they couldn't name a starter because nobody had come out and really grabbed the job.
But Alabama, though, they can't run the ball either. They're really not playing great defense.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time Nick Saban's number 13. You remember the last time that happened? No, you don't.
Yeah, probably never happened.
Because it never happened.
Not with Nick Saban.
This is the worst Nick Saban team. Probably the worst. Ohio State's number 6 is probably the worst modern era Ryan Day team. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. So my hometown team of Penn State and Nittany Lions is probably going to go on a run here.
Coming up, we have the one team that's at a crossroads. So which direction will they choose? Perloff and I have that for you right after this.
This show is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. Do you ever find that just as you were trying to fall asleep, your brain suddenly won't stop talking? Do your thoughts start racing right before bed or at other inopportune moments? It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk them through. Therapy gives you a place to do that, so you could get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental peace and emotional peace.
And we all been through some really unpredictable times, especially over the last few years, and it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. So all you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MNP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MNP.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Man, it's unbelievable. Even people who do not believe in the Colorado Buffaloes, I think, are nervous picking against them against Oregon. Stu Mandel just said he compared them to Bishop Sycamore, the fake high school, before the first game against TCU.
Yeah, the one that lost to IMG Academy like 96-0 or whatever.
I have to admit, I do have a problem, and maybe this is going to be personal.
What's that?
Idea that this game is going to hinge on Travis Hunter. I feel like that narrative it was a 14.5-point spread as before the Colorado State game. Without Travis Hunter, like if they lose by 30, it's not going to be because Travis Hunter was there or not there.
I don't think it's not because of one person that's a non-quarterback. That'd be crazy to say in any football game, but just because of Hunter's, he is very important to what they're doing.
Is he though? I mean, listen, he went out last week on offense. They moved the ball
Offense is going to be fine. They've got other
They
receivers.
got Shador. Yeah, Shador is the key to this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter is an anomaly. He's like Shohei. But anyway, I do think that storyline might be a little overblown. I just think that this is a much bigger thing than just Travis Hunter.
We're going to see. We're going to see what if there really is a true talent discrepancy.
Yes.
And I think it's more actually about depth than it would be about the starters. Like Colorado's starters, I think I don't know if in the trenches, that's what Deion said. They're not big enough up front yet. And we're going to see. But that's always the thing about any team, when you're trying to knock off one of these massive Power 5 schools, it's the depth. It's like one guy goes out. Like who's Travis Hunter's backup? There's no chance he's going to be as good as Travis Hunter, right?
Well, right. But also, too, I mean, I think a bigger issue is the size of the lines. Mm-hmm. And we all expected the defensive line to blow out Colorado's offensive line. Their line looks amazing. And their defensive line, you should be able to run right over them, right? TCU ran all over them. So then the next week, Nebraska couldn't run at all. It's really interesting. I'm so psyched for this game. It's a great college football weekend, but I'm all about 3:30.
I know. I'm actually kind of glad selfishly on the East Coast this game is not starting at 10:30 at night. I didn't factor that in when I became a Ducks fan, that on the weekends I would also have to be staying up until the game ended until 2:30 in the morning. I mean, the Colorado State game, I was snoozing.
Yeah, they don't put the Ducks at 10 o'clock, though. They're almost always in the primetime window. Yeah, you're fine. I mean, you're going to have some boring games like the Stanford game. You're not going to...
Well, that's when you celebrate them pouring it on.
I don't even know if that game's on TV, Maggie. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to arrange your whole weekend around Sarah.
I'll find a legal stream through Kazakhstan or something. I don't know. I'll figure out a way to watch the game.
I know a guy.
Believe me, I know 2 guys.
Wait. Is that part? You have to watch every Oregon game now?
No, I'm choosing to.
Did you watch every Cal game last year?
That's called being a fan.
Did you watch any Cal game?
Hey. I watched her play Colorado.
No, wait. There was one really good Cal game last year.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
That was close. Was that overtime or just a close ending?
Actually, I think they lost to Colorado.
Man, November 4th, California at Oregon. That is the Maggie Gray Bowl.
Now it is. Little did they know. Or me. Speaking of teams I'm a fan of, this one was at the same time shocking and also kind of predictable. And that is a unnamed 29-year-old Bills fan. I can't even say had a little too much to drink. This guy had a little too much of everything. I don't know why you need to be this stoned to watch the Bills. I know sometimes it can be hard to watch the team. Sunday was fine. But do you really need to be not only drinking, but also be on a combination of LSD, cocaine, and marijuana?
Yes.
Now that's the real Buffalo triple down. I mean, what do you call that?
God, what happened is
that's the real Bills special.
Getting obscenely drunk at football games and jumping through a table. That's not enough to keep you interested. No. You have to add more things in here?
Lighting yourself on fire and jumping through a table, not enough for Bills fans. At least not this one Bills fan who, according to the Erie County Sheriff's Department, climbed over a 10-foot fence that was housing the construction of the new stadium, which is going to be right next to the old stadium. He found his way into an on-site porta potty, which hadn't been emptied in a while. So he decided to get all up in the porta potty with all the excrement and human waste that is in a porta potty, and then fell down a hole.
In the porta potty?
Nope. In the construction site. Got himself out of the porta potty. He's naked, he's high as the sky, and fell into a hole.
Wait, did you just introduce that he was naked, or was that earlier?
Oh, I'm sorry. What, did I not mention he was naked? He was totally naked.
I missed that part.
No,
I think I would remember that.
No, he was wearing Zubaz pants. Of course he was naked. Do you think this story could have been any other way but him being absolutely naked?
What is going on? What time of day was this? This was during the game?
They're not sure how long he was in the hole.
They don't know when he fell into the hole?
No, but it took 20 minutes for rescue teams to get him out of the hole.
All right.
No one knows how long he was trapped in the hole, but the first call came in around 12:18 p.m. local time. This is a daytime situation, guys. This is not a nighttime thing. This is you wake up and you put a little LSD in your coffee, apparently, and cocaine. I mean, we found
this actually might have been a night before time that extended into the daytime. We don't know how long he was in the hole.
He could have been on a bender for days. Who knows?
You must eating like $100 worth of pot and like $30 worth of shrooms, man. Who's the man? So I'm gonna need that $130, whenever you get a chance.
That's not really cool, man.
This dude was on everything. Everything. And the Bills won. I mean, maybe that makes it better or worse. I'm not sure. I don't know why you would take LSD before going to a football game. I don't know. I haven't done that drug. I'm not sure. But it's like, is this guy Hunter S. Thompson? Like, why do you need to be on that kind of mind-altering drug to go to a sporting event? Feels like a waste.
I don't know. Feel like there's probably... Well, there's a lot of weed at these sporting events.
Okay, but that's legal in many states.
Yeah. I feel like cocaine is definitely part of the sporting experience these days.
Interesting.
But the LSD is different, like, because you want to get fired up. You don't want to trip.
Well, the other part, too, and again, like just like what I know from movies and stuff, which is this a place you want to take LSD and then be walking around with people like in face paint and like wearing weird costumes and like that? It seems like it'd be some kind of horror freak show.
Yeah, no, I guess... I have no idea. I cannot put my mind. I can't put myself in this guy's shoes, or lack of shoes in this case.
Can you put yourself in his like poop covered body?
Ugh. Yeah. So By the way,
Go Bills.
I haven't really been to a Bills game in a while. Is this what the Bills Mafia is doing now?
Yeah,
Is he
all
an
the time.
outlier?
No, this is it. This is.
I haven't seen anyone jump to a table.
not.
Are they still doing that?
Yeah, definitely.
Or do they wait till later in the year?
It's become ho-hum over there. Jumping through a burning table is just kind of like every day, all day. 20 people do it every game.
Yeah, you really got to do something else to stand out. I mean, you guys like cover people with like ketchup and mustard. That one's getting a little old too. I mean, maybe
That sounds fun.
This is this guy just raising the stakes, like up in the ante for the rest of Bill's Mafia. So there's your marching orders.
Maggie, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's go back in. How do you beat this one?
It'd be the first time for me on a lot of these things. What could go wrong? I really don't. I don't know why you have to get this zooted to watch a football game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, still probably, that guy is probably, I'd say, somewhere between the 10 and 30 percentile of uncouth Eagles fans.
It's funny. I feel like the biggest regrets I have sometimes after sporting events is like, boy, shouldn't have had that second plate of wings or nachos. Not, boy, shouldn't have gotten all hopped up on LSD and cocaine, jumped over a fence into a construction site, went into the porta potty, rubbed poop and pee all over myself, and then fell in a hole.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to lead to a case of the Mondays.
Don't put that on your to-do list.
No. Thank you to the Bills for always keeping it interesting. That guy could be a Halloween costume for somebody. Good luck. Man. All right. Well, I mean, an Eagles fan ate horse poop after they won the Super Bowl, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, Bills fans, Eagles fans, Jets fans, all ridiculous.
All the same.
No. Eagles fans are mean.
Yes, that's true.
Bills fans are
not
crazy.
mean. Yeah.
Jets fans are just unlikable. I don't know how would you describe Jets fans.
There's a lot in the studio, and one's our producer.
I mean, I used to be unlikable. Now I'm all about those Chiefs fans.
No, but at the stadium, Jets fans are very, very unlikable. I think everybody can, even Jets fans will admit that.
I think they're just sad. I used to be that.
They're nasty.
Oh, yeah. You left the Jets and went to the Steelers. Samter just jumped off the Jets and went to the Chiefs.
You know what? I'm glad to meet somebody else who's done that because it's just better for our.
By the way, can we give some Steelers fans some credit for chanting Nick Chubb's name after he got hurt last night?
Classy.
I was actually really surprised about it. Like, that wouldn't happen in Philadelphia in 50 million years. Not in the 100,000
I think in Buffalo
years.
they would. They would.
Buffalo, they seem to have some friendliness.
Unless it was Tom Brady.
Yeah. But obviously, Andy Dalton is more popular in Buffalo as busy helped them get to the playoffs once.
Yeah, there's like a wing on a hospital named after Andy Dalton because of the Bills fans.
But I got to tell you, Philadelphia, they would never cheer a Cowboy. Where in Pittsburgh, that was like genuine emotion. I kind of got not choked up, but that was really cool.
I thought that was a nice, classy move. And then, of course, they rebound with a Fire Canada chant, and that is their offensive coordinator. So there's still a little dog in them.
A move which I think they need to do.
I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They should have done it before the season started.
I agree with that, too.
I was following the game.
Dexter's wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers hat, by the way.
I was following the game on social media, and I started seeing all these Canadian flags going up and down. I was like, what is a Canadian flag? Does Canada have a big Canadian? I mean, does Pittsburgh have a Canadian lineman or something? Then I realized is everybody wanted to fire Matt Canada, the OC.
I'm trying to think when the last time Canada was this unlikable.
Gosh.
They pride themselves on being friendly people.
Yeah.
I think South Park, the movie.
Yeah, probably.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada. Nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Wait, so Dexter, I picked the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl.
Did you?
Yeah, I was high LSD, covered in poop.
All right, that explains it.
I think T.J. Watt in that defense is easily good enough to win a Super Bowl. No doubt in my mind.
I don't know about the offense. Well, not with Matt Canada coaching the offense.
Why can't Matt Canada run a normal run play on 3rd and 1? What is he? Is he have to run it like a jet sweep? He's like the dumber little brother of Sean McVay.
Yeah, he's hurting. He's hurting Najee Harris. He's the whole run game. Nobody's thriving off of it. Pickens. I'm very disappointed in Matt Canada. They're averaging 9.5 points a game.
We were debating who's more of a worry, Matt Canada, or is Kenny Pickett taking a step back?
I think more of the concern for me is Canada. I think, and maybe I'm being a little bit biased.
Yeah, just wait. They're going to get a new guy in there. And I loved Pickett. I thought the small hands thing was stupid.
I think so, too.
And I was behind him. But that was a weak quarterback draft. I don't know if maybe people were seeing what they wanted to see a little bit. Maybe new offensive coordinator. It's not like he doesn't have weapons, though, and still can't get the ball to them.
Well, that's the thing. Some of the throws looked really bad, Maggie, and some of the decision making too. And like I didn't. And look, I'm a little biased. I'm a Pitt alum, so I'm a little biased there too. But I thought he'd be better coming in this year. People were hyped off the preseason. We could pump the brakes on that.
Gold.
Give it 2 weeks. He'll be a Pro Bowler again. He's got the Raiders and the Texans coming up. He's gonna destroy those teams.
I hope so.
I mean, this was the Browns. You saw that Browns defense. That is a nasty defense.
No, they are. Yeah.
And the Niners are even worse. The Raiders, I'm sorry, Stu. Like, the Raiders will fix anything here. I just have faith in them.
Another primetime game for Kenny Pickett Sunday night against Stu's Raiders.
That's Sunday night? That is a bad matchup. I can't wait.
Stu, are you looking forward to this as much as Perloff?
I actually feel more confident about this one than the
Bills.
Than the Bills, yeah.
Well, you're home.
At home opener, yeah. Now, there's going to be a lot of Steelers fans there. That's the one thing that you're going to get from Vegas is you're going to get a lot of traveling fans from different teams. So we'll see.
What's the over-under on how many fans are high on LSD, cocaine?
Well, it is Vegas.
Put poop all over themselves. I mean, that's just like a Tuesday afternoon in Las Vegas. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we do get to the bottom of a question we've had since Sunday night. We finally get the answer. We'll do that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Dexter Henry.
CBS Sports Flash.
All right, let's kick things off with NFL news. The Pro Football Hall of Fame has put out its list of 173 modern-era nominees for the class of 2024, and that list includes 9 players who were in the first year of eligibility. Some notables making the list for the first time include receivers Brandon Marshall and Jordy Nelson, tight end Antonio Gates, and running back Jamal Charles. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski said Jerome Ford is now the team's running back atop the depth chart following the season-ending injury to Nick Chubb. Stefanski said the Browns are working on adding another player to the running back room, and according to ESPN, free agent running back Kareem Hunt, who played for the Browns the past 4 seasons, is visiting the team. College football, Colorado coach Deion Sanders condemned the recent death threats against Henry Blackburn in the wake of the Colorado State's defensive back's illegal hit Saturday on Buffalo star Travis Hunter. Coach Prime said, quote, "He was just playing the game of football, but whatever it was, it does not constitute that he should be receiving death threats." WNBA playoffs, pair of game 2s tonight, Mystics at the Liberty, and the Dream visit the Wings. I'm Dexter Henry.
Joining the Zach Gelb Show today, Oregon State quarterback DJ Uiagalelei, Buccaneers linebacker Levante David, and former All-Pro Shaun Merriman. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Gray, Andrew Perloff. Things getting chippy between Brandon Staley and a reporter after the Chargers lost in overtime to the Tennessee Titans. He was asked after the game, Perloff, if this is a bit of a carryover from how the Chargers lost in the playoffs, which was blowing a 24-point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now they've, had a chance to win the game against Miami, couldn't do it. Had a chance to win against the Titans, couldn't do it. So here's Staley going back and forth with a reporter.
It has nothing to do with the Jacksonville game. It's a convenient storyline for you and for everybody else, but it's not the truth. The men in that locker room, they are finishers and they have what it takes, and we're excited to prove ourselves.
Just now,
Yeah, we just lost a game in overtime, Jeff. So how do you think the mood is? How do you think the mood is? How do you think it is?
It's just so funny because it's such the perfect name, It's like, how do you think the mood is, Jeff? And my brother is a Jeff, so I feel like I can say, how do you think the mood is, Jeff? It's such a good one to accent it on, but Staley was getting prickly, Perloff. Do you think he had a reason to?
No. The whole problem is, why do they keep on letting receivers run past their defensive backs? Like, who's the defensive coordinator? Is it? I don't know if he defensive coordinates, whatever. The coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball is failing so badly.
That's him. He was brought in to be the defensive guy.
I don't know if he play calls on those or why the safeties just keep on. They're way in front of the deep receivers. It's really, really bizarre. They do have a chance to get right. They have the Vikings in Minnesota. Kind of a tough game.
And the Vikings are desperate. They're 0-2.
Yeah,
also.
then they host the Raiders, and then they host the Cowboys. The thing is, Herbert looks pretty good. So I wouldn't write off the whole season just yet, but it's getting pretty close.
You want to know what this is? This is the makings at times of coaches who are feeling it. When you start getting chippy with the media, and I know some coaches just do that, like Hall of Fame coaches do that. But when you start getting chippy like that, it's like you feel the narrative starting to build against you. And
we just lost a game in overtime, Jeff. So
come on, Jeff. How do you think we feel?
Yeah, I mean,
Jeff.
He's got a 2 game, the Cowboys and the Chiefs. If he loses both of those, I would assume they fire him before the Bears game. So that'll be week 1, week 3, 4, 5, 6.
So who do you elevate though? Kellen Moore?
Anybody. Yeah, Kellen Moore, special teams coach. I mean, I think if they go like 1-5, I think he's gone. I think he's the first one gone because there's no reason they should be losing, right? Talent-wise.
Absolutely not. Although some of their free agency, choices have not really paid off. J.C. Jackson has not been good for them. Khalil Mack hasn't been amazing for them.
If you have a healthy Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert, though, you're scoring 35 points a game, you should not be 0-2.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah, especially at home. This will be really interesting. Then again, watch it. This is the Chargers. Don't expect them to follow any reasonable trajectory. They can easily beat the Chiefs or something crazy like that.
I mean, Eckler's going to be out for a bit, so don't expect them to get any better from that standpoint either.
Eckler's on my fantasy team. How long is? What are you hearing? Because I heard he could play last week. He's just sort of holding out.
I mean, it might be the whole NFLPA thing where it's just like, over-exaggerating his injuries.
Yeah, I don't think Nick Chubb was over-exaggerating what happened yesterday. I don't think Saquon Barkley is over-exaggerating, although Brian Daboll today not totally ruling out Saquon to play Thursday night against the 49ers. That's a terrible idea.
He's not going to play.
That's like leaving Daniel Jones in for that fourth quarter against the Cowboys when you've already taken out both of your starting tackles.
You might as well do it again.
So dumb. Mark is in California, if he plays. Mark, how are you, dude?
You know what? I'm good, but man, Deshaun Watson's trash.
Yeah.
So
doesn't look good.
The thing is I think this could be the worst trade in NFL history. I mean, you take a look at some of the worst trades. Herschel Walker and the Vikings, right?
Yep.
Indianapolis, they traded for Trent Richardson. Ricky Williams, even Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance at least played and showed promises. It's just he wasn't being used. But they gave all this. They traded for him, and then they gave him a massive contract. It's like, let it play out and then trade for him. But 2 face mask penalties in the game. I think he's the only quarterback in NFL history I've seen get 2 face mask penalties.
Honestly, Mark, I'm so glad you brought that up because I even tweeted out during the game. I can't remember one. I can't remember a quarterback getting an unnecessary roughness call. I'm sure Phillip Rivers probably did at some point. He's the one person.
Right, but Stefanski's it's going to cost him his job. They just lost their best weapon in Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford is a decent compliment, and Cleveland's defense is decent. It's not like
I think they're
but
good.
It's like it could win them some games. You know what I mean? But Watson's play is just, awful. 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. 3 fumbles in the season already. One more was driven for a touchdown. Like, he's just I just think when he grabbed the face mask, I think he just wasn't fast enough. He's lost his speed.
The strip sack at the end of the game that led to the touchdown that sealed it. I mean, for the Steelers, that's not something we're used to with Deshaun Watson when he was at his peak. Mark, thank you for the phone call. Appreciate that.
One thing is he is hard to bring down. And the fact that he had 2 face masks points to how physical he was, and
game was physical.
He was desperately trying to make something happen. Like I think that. Listen, I'm not defending Deshaun Watson, but he was trying to make plays. Like, he could have gone down, but there was one time where Highsmith had him lined up, tackled random full, and Watson just didn't go down. But he's not running the offense. He's not finding guys. Like, is there any rhythm or any easy plays ever?
Absolutely
once in a
not.
while.
And once Chubb went out of the game, it was like, again, Ford was fine and good, but missing throws. He still has a big arm, but
he hit Cooper on some pretty they kept pinning him around the 1 or 2 yard line. He kept throwing his way out of there, but then they couldn't sustain drives.
Very interesting. Could it go down as the worst trade in the history of the NFL? The Russell Wilson is also
Russell Wilson and him maybe. Now the Jets were
trade
smart.
for Rodgers.
Yeah, but they're only going to lose a 2nd round pick, so I don't think that's going to kill them. Yeah, these all 3 are pretty bad. I mean, maybe we let it play out a little bit. That was in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's won 21 straight Monday night games. Cleveland could be okay, but there were so many injuries last night. I mean, listen, if the defense is good like you say they are, and the Ford kid is good, they can win some games without Deshaun Watson being an all-pro.
Well, it turns out I think Kareem Hunt is going to be – they're going to look to sign him. Or at least
he's already there visiting with them right now.
Yeah, he's there visiting. So that makes a little bit of sense. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. We love Casamigos around here. Today's shot of the day comes from earlier in the show when one of the Weedos in the YouTube chat challenged me to a bet that if my Oregon Ducks lose to Oregon State in the Civil War, that I should have to dress up like a lumberjack. And then we started talking about what that costume would look like.
It's an axe. You could carry an axe. Who cares? You're not going to use it on someone.
Can you carry around an axe? I don't think so.
Yeah, if you saw someone walking down the street with an axe, you're running in the opposite direction.
Exactly. I mean,
Not in
Shining.
the woods.
This
Shitting.
isn't the woods. I need to bring it into the studio.
What are you talking about? An axe is not that scary. There's an axe literally 50 yards from us right now.
I know, and it's behind glass that I think you're supposed to like only break glass in emergency type thing.
No one's in charge around this place. We could totally take that back. I would completely. Look around you. Is there anybody who's going to yell at us?
I can't bring an axe on a subway.
I wouldn't even get on the A train without an axe. Have you been on the A train lately?
Yes. Are you crazy to have one or crazy not to have an axe on the subway?
You could.
Still can't answer that question. Not really sure. Meanwhile, we'll see what happens. But I have accepted that bet that if Oregon loses to Oregon State, I will dress up as a lumberjack.
Okay. I'm Googling whether you can carry an axe in New York City.
Okay, what do they say?
No, I can't find anything yet, but there's an old rule. You cannot enter a national forest that has a fire risk without an axe. You're supposed to have
one?
Yeah, you're supposed to have an axe so you could break up a fire.
Oh.
So...
Hold on, how is an axe going to break up a fire?
Hold on a second.
Just adding wood to the kindle.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are like a little naive on axes. Axes are a very common tool.
Okay, but how does an axe put out a fire?
Okay. Hold on. I lost it.
And how is an axe a common tool in Manhattan?
Well, yeah,
in any city at all, with like 3 trees in the entire area.
It's always stories that end really, really badly when there's an axe.
I feel like I remember a story where some guy was wielding an axe in Midtown Manhattan and like got taken down by the cops. I feel like that happens all the time.
Here's why. For many years, there was a requirement for visiting the national forest in fire season. Everyone who visited was required to carry a shovel, an axe, and a bucket. If a big fire broke out, one could be drafted into a firefighting brigade. So, duh. You have to have an axe. What if you get drafted into a firefighting brigade?
You know what's funny is like, okay, so that was back in the day. You actually had to have useful tools that could help if something happens. Now, what do we have? We have idiots in these national parks who, when they see a wild animal, like run up to the animal to try to get a selfie.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we've gotten so much dumber as a society, you know?
I don't know what year this was, and this is some Reddit thread that could be completely made up. But that being said, I don't think an axe is such an outrageous thing.
I'm scared by that. I'm scared that you don't think an axe is an outrageous thing.
Well, if we go
in this setting, not living out where in the suburbs.
So if we go to a steak dinner and I ask for a steak knife, are you going to leave because you're terrified?
No, but if you walk out of the restaurant with a steak knife and start walking in the street with it, then maybe, yeah.
If you start walking down the street with the steak knife from the steakhouse, I'd be like, I gotta go. Perloff's on one.
If I go to Bed Bath
it's all that cocaine and LSD he's been doing around the Bills games.
If I go to Bed Bath & Beyond and buy a new kitchen knife, am I going to freak you out?
If you went to Bed Bath & Beyond right now, I'd be shocked because they don't exist anymore. So that would be really scary. You'd be on some crazy kind of LSD.
Okay.
Is that it? No more Bed Bath & Beyond?
Gone.
That's
Is it really? Can you order on? That's right. I do.
No. Overstock.com bought the name Bed Bath & Beyond.
What if you put the knife or the axe in a case, like a leather case?
And then you're just walking around with it?
Put it in your backpack.
Why does it have to be a leather case?
Isn't that typically, I think that's where you would put a knife.
Wait, did you ever walk around New York with a knife?
No. Well, why would I do that? But if I put it in a case, I mean,
because you're like, it's so normal. Everyone would
Well, if I had a knife, if I had a big knife and there's like leather cases. I mean,
yeah, I know what you're
and put it in my backpack, I don't think it's a big deal. Is it?
No, if it's in your backpack, it's a little bit different.
So when you carry the axe in, assuming that somehow Oregon State upsets Oregon, you're not going to just carry it out in the open with blood dripping down it. Just put it in a bag. Put it in a duffel bag. Don't you have a duffel bag?
Not one that carries axes.
Just put a little cover on the axe.
Oh, man. Well, if I can't buy one at Bed Bath & Beyond, I don't even know where I'd get it at.
Let alone an axe cover to put in your duffel bag.
Exactly. Without Bed Bath & Beyond, this whole plan is foiled. Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. Thank you to Shaun King, to Stewart Mandel, to the Weedos, the Purple Drinkers. We will see you tomorrow.